to get to. First, let's get to this national story out of Maine. We know that there was a shooting involving ICE agents and one man is dead. Here's a look at that scene there. Again, this happening in Maine. The deadly shooting happened this morning, officials say, in Biddeford, which is roughly 15 miles southwest of Portland. Now, Maine State Police are on the scene, and the FBI is expected to join this investigation. And so far, no details have been released besides that one person is dead here, and the shooting involves ICE agents. So we don't know what led up to the shooting just yet. Maine's State House Speaker says he will provide updates later today. ICE, the FBI, and the Maine Department of Public Safety didn't immediately respond to requests for comment from the Associated Press, but we'll keep you updated on this situation. Again, this was in Biddeford, which is about 15 miles southwest of Portland. One person is dead following the shooting involving ICE agents. Back here in the Atlanta area, Gwinnett County Police are asking for your help with identifying the person on your screen there. This man reportedly assaulted a woman while she was on her morning walk in Norcross. On July 1st, officers say they responded to an assault near the intersection of Old Norcross Tucker Road and Glenbrook Drive. The victim reported she was walking in the area around 7:05 in the morning when an unknown Hispanic male approached her from behind, assaulted her, and fled on foot. He ran from the scene toward a Britt Road. The suspect there on your screen is described as a light-skinned Hispanic male in his late teens to early 20s with a slim build. He is approximately 5 feet 7 inches tall and has short black hair that is faded on the sides with a curly top. Detectives are asking anyone who recognizes the individual depicted there on your screen in these sketches, if you have any information, reach out to Gwinnett County Police. Again, this incident happened on July 1st around 7:05 in the morning on Old Norcross Tucker Road and Glenbrook Drive. And much of Capitol Hill is still in shock, as you all may know, after the death of 71-year-old South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. He died Saturday, just hours after returning home from a trip to Ukraine, and just days, a couple of days after his 71st birthday. His family says he passed after a brief and sudden illness, and a medical examiner has released the cause of death, saying he died from a tear in his aorta related to hardened arteries. So Graham's death has rattled Capitol Hill and the rest of the country. President Trump has been speaking about the late senator and says he's saddened by the loss of his good friend. Let's take a listen.
I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's very tough, actually. And he said, you know, I feel good, but I'm tired. He was fine. I knew him well. He was a fantastic person.
And again, you just heard from President Trump there. Responses are also pouring in from Georgia politicians. This one from Governor Brian Kemp reads in part, quote, Senator Lindsey Graham was a patriot, an impactful public servant, and a friend. His love of this nation, unyielding belief in its possibilities, and defense of its values made him a true force to be reckoned with in Washington, end quote. Atlanta-based U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff also speaking out. He asked that the lawmaker's memory be a blessing. He says, quote, Senator Graham dedicated his life to the U.S. from his service in the U.S. Air Force to his representation of the state of South Carolina and the U.S. House and Senate. Ossoff went on to say Lindsey was an energetic leader who loved South Carolina. So Senator Graham's political career started in the House in the early 90s. Then he was elected to the Senate more than 20 years ago. So he became a key figure for the Republican Party, known for his foreign policy work, often advising President Trump on Israel, Iran, and Ukraine. Senator Graham was seeking his 5th term in the Senate in November before his death. And under South Carolina law, Republican Governor Henry McMaster of South Carolina will appoint a temporary replacement for the senator. He's expected to make an announcement later today around 4 p.m. on this. President Donald Trump says today, he said today that he recommended that Lindsey Graham's sister be named as his temporary replacement. The president posting this on social media just a couple of hours ago that Governor Henry McMaster should appoint Darlene Graham Nordone to fulfill the rest of Senator Graham's term, which expired in January. Again, Governor McMaster will make that announcement on who he will pick at 4. A new nominee will be selected in a special primary, which is required to be held within weeks of a vacancy. Then the person who wins November's general election will start a full 6-year term in January. And of course, we'll keep you updated on this. But America continuing to remember South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who died at the age of 71 on Saturday. And nearly a month after being hospitalized, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell says he's recovering from a bad fall. The Republican released the new details in a statement along with a photo of himself and his wife. That's on your screen. And a statement, Senator McConnell says he suffered a fall at home that left him unconscious. He was hospitalized where he later developed mild pneumonia. He also says he's now at a facility to regain his strength, a medical facility, and he didn't say when he would return to the Senate, but we'll keep you updated on his health as well. Our time is 1:06 here on Fox Local. Let's talk about what Fox 5 is working on today. These are the stories that you can expect to be covered on our news shows. Let's bring in our Tanya Mendoza. She has more. And Tanya, you do have some breaking news as well to tell us.
That's right. We're trying to get our chopper up right now. He is over. We're trying to tune him in right now. Billy Heath's trying to do that for us. But right now what's going on over in Lithonia in DeKalb County, around 1544 Wellborn Road. It appears to be some sort of like shopping plaza. There's a gas station. There may be a library across the street, but there has been reports of a shooting. I reached out to the DeKalb Police Department. I heard that on the scanner. I reached out to the police department. They said that there is someone seriously injured there. I sent over our photographer, Aiden Brown. He was on the ground getting video when a bunch of cop cars sped away and they were heading in another direction. So he's trying to figure out what's going on. We'll have an update on that as soon as we can, and then we'll tune in the chopper and let you take a look at it as well.
Absolutely. We will take that chopper live here for you all once we get it up. To continue talking about this breaking news, let's get into the stories that we're covering here on Fox 5.
That's right. Okay, so today in the meeting, we were talking about several stories, and one of our reporters, Ray Yanina, is actually, he's going on a story that we were emailed to from the Gwinnett Police Department. Basically, they are seeking the public's assistance in locating a man by the name of his name is Jesus Efrain Guerrero Ramirez. He's 25 years old, and he's wanted in connection with a domestic-related homicide that occurred on July 6th at the Sterling Glen Apartments in Norcross. Officers say they responded to the apartment complex after 32-year-old Guadalupe Salazar was found deceased inside her apartment. The investigation determined that Salazar and Guerrero Ramirez were involved in a relationship. So they are looking, and there's the picture of Jesus Ramirez. So they're looking for information regarding him, and anybody who knows his whereabouts should call the Gwinnett County Police Department. We are getting an interview with them. Ray will have that story a little later. Jasmine?
Tanya, thanks for giving us an update on what Ray will be covering later today. I know police are wanting us to get this information out to the public so that they can catch this person. So looking forward to what they say later this afternoon. This next story is coming out of Coweta County, and it's dealing with a stolen car chase.
Yeah, okay, so in Coweta County, you know, they're pretty famous for a lot of car chases over there. We cover them quite often. Doug Evans is on those stories usually, and he has another one today. He's meeting with the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. They're going to give him some of the video from the police car and body cam. But basically, it sounds like in Noonan, there was a report of a stolen car. They tracked down the car to a Walmart parking lot, but once they got there, they realized there was another call that came in that an employee employee or someone at the Walmart's car, another car had been stolen. So it sounds like the person who had the stolen car had dumped the car at Walmart and then stole another car. Well, in that process, they were able to like locate where the car was, and it started. A chase started, and that's what Doug's going to get all the details on. But he says it was over 100 miles, and the person was driving in the wrong lane. So it sounds like a big deal. He'll have that story later.
Very scary story here. I can't imagine being on the road and seeing that, a person not only in the wrong lane, but also driving really fast, like you said, at 100 miles per hour. So very interesting. A lot of moving parts of the story. You also mentioned that the car was found in a Walmart parking lot. So a lot to dig here in the story.
Yeah. And hang on one second. Billy's going to talk to Chopper for me. So we're good. So we are over the scene now. I don't know if we can pull that up so you can take a look at that shooting real quick.
Yep, that's a live look right there of the shooting. Yeah, we're just taking a look at some police cars.
Yeah, there's still a few police cars there. Like my photographer was saying earlier, that a bunch of them took off and went to another location. So hopefully we can find that out and let you know where that is. But that's the scene currently at 1544 Wellborn Road in Lithonia, Georgia. Reports of a shooting. Jasmine?
And you can see marks there on the ground. Looks like some cars were circling there. Also looks like it's near a gas station, the Valero gas station in that area. And you mentioned the shooting. Did anyone die in the shooting? Do we have any information on that yet?
Let me check real quick here, because I just emailed DeKalb County again to see if there's an update. Basically, all they're saying to me, and I'm going to read right from the email, we are currently responding to preliminary information on the scene that one patient is there with serious injuries. That's all they're saying. So one patient with serious injuries, but it did come out on the scanner as a shooting at that location. I'm sure they're going to update us a little later with more, and once our photographer on the ground gets more information, I'll let you know, Jasmine, so you can keep viewers up to date.
All right, that sounds good, Tanya. And of course, we'll bring that shot live to you as we receive more information from authorities. Let's get into Red Cross and how they're working to help some people displaced in a fire.
That's right. We received an email from the Red Cross earlier, and this is a fire we didn't even know about. It was in McDonough over the weekend. They say they sent their response team to a home over on Hawken Trail, where there was a fire, I believe, on Sunday, and 15 people, including I think 6 children, were displaced. So they're trying to help out that family, and we sent photographer Tim Whaley out there to get a little video. We were hoping to see if we could speak to someone from the family to see what specific needs they had, but they have right now, but we have not been able to find any of them yet. But we do have information from the Red Cross on how people can help them. If anybody wants to reach out to the Red Cross to specifically help that family, they can mention that it's the fire on Hawken Trail in McDonough.
All right, that sounds good. Very important. We also heard from Red Cross earlier because they are asking for blood donations during this time period of shortage. So some important information coming from the Red Cross today. Make sure you reach out to help the families impacted by the fire and those who are needing blood. Let's get into a lighter story here. Ludacris is set to perform at a FIFA watch party. That sounds like a lot of fun. I know many people are looking forward to this, so let's talk about Ludacris.
Okay, so it's basically like Ludacris Watch because he's performing 2 times. So tomorrow at the FIFA Fan Fest, they're going to be open from 1 to 10:30, and they said that they're going to have a special performance by hometown icon Ludacris before watching the tournament's semifinal, surrounded by supporters and fans. So that's a big deal in itself. We don't have the specific time that Ludacris is going to be performing. They said they're going to release that today. So we'll update you on that a little later. And then obviously the Fan Fest will be open on the 15th when there's a game here in Atlanta as well, a match here. But the big event will be at Piedmont Park for the final match of the World Cup on July 19th. And Ludacris is expected to perform a concert there. So we will be covering that, obviously. But people who want to see Ludacris performing have two chances in Atlanta. Jasmyn?
That's pretty awesome. But you did have to get a ticket for this, right?
Yeah, you have to pre-register. So, people need to go online and do that now if they haven't. I'm not sure if they're sold out or not. We'll try to get you an update on that as well.
They might be sold out already, but this sounds amazing. I did hear that some other big stars are performing here in Atlanta with the World Cup set to come to a close soon, heading into the semifinals.
I know. What are we going to talk about when this is all over?
Tanya, hopefully some more good news. Well, thanks so much for joining us to talk about what Fox 5 is working on.
Thanks, Jasmyn.
And let's take a live look outside. It has been pretty rainy these past couple of days. I wasn't in the Atlanta area over the weekend, but I still saw some rain in Georgia. Let's talk to our chief meteorologist, Joanne Feldman, about what to expect today and the rest of this week.
All right, here's the deal. If you have your Fox 5 Storm Team app downloaded, you don't even have to be in town to know that it's been active weather here, because you'll get those alerts going, oh my gosh, what's going on back at home?
The thunder, the lightning.
That part we're going to continue. And, I know I've been selling the fact that it's not going to be all that hot today, but it's just so humid. It doesn't feel great.
It's just not a good mixture.
No, it really isn't. But, there's a small wind to stay out of the 90s today, I suppose. We'll take the trade-off here. And let's talk about how the storms are working at this hour. This is a view on Fox 5 Live Viper, and they're becoming more scattered. Just 30 minutes ago, we didn't even have much popping up on the south side of town, but now going in a little closer south of I-20 into Truth, Meriwether, Pike, Spalding counties. These are all spots getting at least smaller pockets of moderate to heavy rain. No lightning strikes in this particular view, but let's move the map around because we are starting to get some limited lightning closer into the metro area. These are not severe storms. That's really going to be defined by how strong the winds could get today. We don't have a very high risk of severe weather, but we've seen every afternoon recently that a storm or two will start producing some stronger winds. So I'm not going to rule that out for today. I'm more concerned about the rainfall rates in these storms and that they can dump a lot of rain very, very quickly. You're seeing right now, though, most of the lightning is concentrated just outside of the state, either into Tennessee or into Alabama. But we'll get our fair share of that, too. It's really going to be an afternoon of rain, thunder, lightning, and maybe some wind. The temperature side of things. All right, so now we're at 1 p.m. It's 80 degrees in Atlanta. We are probably not going to get much warmer than that at any point today. And it's because we're on the northern side of this front that you see right here. That's let some cooler air come into North Georgia. It hasn't given us a break from the humidity, of course, but the rainfall chances after today still stay pretty high through midweek, and then they drop off a lot over the weekend. Of course, that's when it's going to get a lot hotter, but for this afternoon, rain chance is going to remain somewhere in that 70, 80, 90% range. It's going to be a wet afternoon for many of you. So let's take a quick look at that and how that evolves around this low pressure this afternoon and tonight. With this low pressure kind of lingering, there can be showers at any time overnight or even into early tomorrow morning. But it's really going to be the case that the peak number of storms we get on any given day is going to be in the afternoon. So there you go. Your Fox 5 Storm Team forecast. We kind of shift back to normal July weather around Thursday, Friday, and going into the weekend. Can't keep the 90s away forever, but we won't have to dodge as many storms by then either. So
that is some good news to me. I love the 90s. I mean, I had to cancel my pool day this past Saturday due to the rain.
You can make up for it this weekend.
Absolutely. How are drought conditions?
You know what? They have been gradually improving, kind of held steady in this week compared to the last week, but we made some really good improvements in the weeks before that. And so the way we're continuing to get rain, I suspect we'll get some more improvement here. We're moving in the right direction.
All right. That sounds good, Joanne. Thanks so much for joining us to talk weather. And you all are looking at a live look of downtown Atlanta. Our time right now is 1:19. We return here on Fox Local. We'll speak about home ownership and some of the issues that potential buyers are facing. Welcome back here to our news conversation here on Fox Local, where we're also streaming on social media like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. If you have any questions or comments during this conversation, feel free to weigh in. Let's get into this fun story here. The Atlanta History Center is unveiling a new exhibit dedicated to one of the country's most tumultuous chapters. It's called More Perfect Union, the American Civil War Era. And our Paul Milliken takes us inside.
So More Perfect Union is a really sweeping exhibit, and as we've shown you over the course of Good Day Atlanta, it covers what led to the Civil War, it covers the war, and then, of course, what came after the American Civil War, which is kind of where we are right now with our great friend Erica Haig. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
And so what we're seeing back here is the fact that obviously after the war, there were nearly 750,000 people killed and so many wounded, and this is when we start to see changes in science and in medical care, right?
Correct, yeah. So behind us we have some of the items that have survived from that time period, including things like an artificial limb. This is an original sort of peg leg, and it's a mixed media piece, so we have wood and leather that would then attach to the remnant of the body part that was left.
And something else that I thought was so interesting, when we talk about opiate addiction, it feels like it's such a contemporary issue, but then you see that leaflet there. That's something they were dealing with back then.
Correct, yeah. So many people were dealing with pain, and opium was something that could help them with that pain, but it is also very addictive.
Right.
So something that was coming out of this conflict was all of this addiction.
Right, right. Again, something that we think is so contemporary, but it's been going on for a long time. I think what's fascinating when you look at these artifacts here is how well preserved so many of them are, and that's really where you come in. As an archivist, I mean, what does it take to make sure that these are presented not just visually appealing, but also that they're safe and cared for?
Yeah, so all of the artifacts in our collection are something that we help steward, right? So we make sure that they are maintained for longevity, so they can be displayed for not just now, but for decades to come.
Yeah.
So a lot of the materials in this case specifically are wood. Wood is something that is very hardy. It holds up pretty well to the rigors of time, but we have a lot of items in here too that are paper that don't hold up as well.
Right.
So this is something that we make sure that when we're mounting things that they're lit to a proper amount of light. They're all registered with unique identifiers.
Okay.
And then when we create the mounts for these, we make sure that they're unique mounts for the objects that are going to support them. So you're going to be able to see them and appreciate them on display, but also that they're going to be in the case and look very nice as well.
I mean, there's so much work that goes into what you do, and you really appreciate that when you start looking at the way things are displayed. Another way you protect items is through technology. So this right here, you're not going to let people flip through that book with our bare hands, but we can flip through it through technology, right?
Correct. So this book is actually Sherman's copy of the Bernard photographic views of the Sherman campaign. This is a copy that was passed down to Sherman's son. And then what we did is we actually scanned this copy during its conservation and have those photos available for people to flip through and enjoy.
Yeah, this is very cool. This has been a long time coming. How excited are you for people to get in here and to see More Perfect Union?
Oh, very excited. This has been a 5-year process for us, so it's fabulous, and we're looking forward to welcoming everyone.
Yeah, and so eye-opening. We have learned so much. So, Erica, thank you for letting us be here and get a kind of behind-the-scenes look this morning.
Anytime.
Yeah, this has been amazing. Again, More Perfect Union is open now. And guys, this is not the end either. An entire other Civil War gallery set to open early next year here at Atlanta History Center.
All right, Paul, thanks so much for that. What an incredible story there, and an exhibit that we all should go see. So up next here on Fox Local, we'll talk about what's trending online, including the speeding crackdown happening right now in Georgia and several other states across the South. Welcome back here to our news conversation on Fox Local. Let's get into some of our top stories this afternoon. This first one, some sad news to report out of the entertainment industry. Jurassic Park actor Sam Neill has died at the age of 78. If you've seen those movies, you've recognized his face. So the New Zealand actor died in Australia after recovering from cancer. This is according to his family. Neill rose to international fame with roles in films such as My Brilliant Career and Dead Calm. He was perhaps best known for playing Alan Grant in 1993's Jurassic Park. He also earned an Emmy nomination for his performance in the 1998 miniseries Merlin and another as narrator of 2017's Wild New Zealand. So his other credits include The Hunt for the Red October, The Piano, and The Peaky Blinders. He has several major projects here. Neill disclosed his diagnosis, his cancer diagnosis in 2023. That's non-Hodgkin lymphoma. His family says his death was, quote, sudden and unexpected. A cause of death has not been specified here, but his family wrote Neill was, quote, surrounded by family during his passing. So our thoughts and prayers are with his family and the Jurassic Park family after Sam Neill dying at 78 years old. Let's talk about Jay-Z's concert at the Yankee Stadium because it has been making headlines for various reasons here. First, the concert at that stadium was delayed for hours last night. And, you know, people were not happy about this. Hundreds of fans without tickets tried to push their way into the show, forcing the iconic New York City Stadium to temporarily close entrances before the rapper could take the stage after midnight. So a very late show after the long holdup. Jay-Z started the show at 12:17 this morning. So what a long night for the artists, Jay-Z, and the artists who performed on stage with him, but also the fans there. And Jay-Z told the audience that, quote, somebody rushed the door and that he didn't want to start performing and have people get trampled on their way in. So a good call there from the rapper. We've seen some instances in the past where you know, stadiums, gates have been rushed by fans and, you know, sadly people got hurt and died as a result. So he made the decision to delay the show because of the fans who tried to push their way into the show. But some good news out of his concert. Jay-Z is celebrating the anniversaries of his albums, The Blueprint and Reasonable Doubt, and he did so by breaking a record at Yankee Stadium twice. He set the record yesterday for most tickets ever sold for a concert at the venue with 45,832. That was enough to pass the previous record, which he set Friday night. Big names like Pharrell, Rihanna, and Eminem joined him on stage. Beyonce and their daughter Blue Ivy also joined him on stage as well. Our time right now is 1:31. Let's talk about what's trending on Fox Local and our website, fox5atlanta.com, and bring in our digital content creator, Janae C. Oliver. Janae, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Jasmyn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
That is good. Well, let's get into this first story that a lot of people have been talking about. Not surprised. It's surrounding Sarah Grace Patrick and her hearing that was held today.
Yes, so Sarah Grace Patrick was back in a Carroll County courtroom today, and her new defense team is begging for more time. Her lawyers say they just uncovered pivotal new details, including a decade's worth of child welfare records and a completely separate firearm examined in the investigation. Prosecutors are fighting back, saying it's just a stall tactic and the evidence has always been there. The 18-year-old is accused of killing her mother and stepfather last year. The judge will decide Wednesday if her August trial will actually happen.
What a crazy story here. I wasn't here in Atlanta when this happened, but was able to do some research. She's now 18, like you said, but she's accused of killing her mom and her stepfather. A very sad story here for this family. And so we'll see what happens. I know we don't have an answer just yet on the continuance here, but lawyers, like you said, are asking for this murder trial to be delayed. Let's get into this next story here for people who are drivers and they just need to slow down a little bit because the police are going to be out and watching.
Yes, heads up to all of the drivers. If you're on the road this week, our second story should encourage you to watch your speed. Operation Southern Slowdown is officially in effect now through July 19th across Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and the Carolinas. Police are ramping up patrols to crack down on aggressive driving and speeding. Last year alone, they handed out over 52,000 citations and warnings. So chill out, check your speed, and let's keep it safe on the road.
Absolutely. Some good information there from you and from authorities. It's very important for all of us to obey the rules of the road there, especially Georgia's move over law, which tells you to move over when you see those emergency vehicles. So everybody just needs to be cautious, watch out for other drivers and road workers and also officers on the road. Let's get into this fun story here. Justin Bieber set to perform. That's pretty exciting. Are you a Justin Bieber fan?
You know, growing up, I was obsessed. I was always screaming out, baby, baby, baby. So, yes, I was obsessed growing up. And the excitement isn't over at all yet here in Atlanta ahead of our semifinal game this Wednesday at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And, of course, leading into the big final, we're having the first ever World Cup halftime show to look forward to, featuring Justin Bieber, Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. But one of my favorite things to reflect on with the World Cup is just it hasn't only been about enjoying the games, but doing good, as $1 from every single ticket sold at our Atlanta matches went directly to the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund to support kids' education globally, which has been awesome to see. So I can't wait to hear nice music and just enjoy as the World Cup comes to a close.
Absolutely. That sounds like a fun time for those who get to see Justin Bieber. I won't be at that halftime show, unfortunately, but I know that many people are excited for that, especially other artists like Shakira too performing. But Janae, thanks so much for joining us to talk about what's trending on Fox Local and Fox5Atlanta.com.
Thank you.
And continuing our conversation on the World Cup, semifinals are set. Tomorrow, Spain and France will face off in Dallas. Then on Wednesday, Argentina and England will go head-to-head right here in Atlanta. And there's a look at your screen there. We're getting closer and closer to the World Cup final match. The winner of both matches head to the finals Sunday, July 19th. Again, Spain facing France in Dallas tomorrow. On Wednesday, Argentina and England going head-to-head right here at Atlanta Stadium, and we will have team coverage for you. We'll be out at the fan festival, the match, and some watch parties. So it will be an exciting day. And happening right now, therapy dogs are all coming together. This is such a cute story to greet World Cup travelers at the Atlanta airport. And that's where we'll find our Chris Rosenthal. He's going to give us a live look at the cute pups and talk about the mission here. Hey, Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, yeah, so I'm at Hartsfield Jackson at the rental car area, at the Hertz rental car area, and you know, you don't want to look at me, you want to see the dogs here. We have Ranger and Winston here. They are greeting travelers. You know, today is a big day here for Hertz and for the rental car industry here, because this is one of the busiest days for rentals and for reservations ahead of the World Cup. Just World Cup semifinal, just 2 days away here from happening here in Atlanta. So they have definitely a big influx of travelers and visitors here for the World Cup, and they brought these dogs out, Winston and Ranger, to greet those fans, to greet travelers. You know, traveling is it's stressful, getting off a plane. Maybe you have some jet lag. We can all be a little grumpy traveling, but I'd say it's hard to be grumpy looking at these guys. So I have Fallon here. She is with Hertz, and tell me today, one of the busiest days. Tell me about that.
Yes, so today is projected to be our busiest rental pickup day ahead of the World Cup semifinals later on this week.
And, I was kind of shocked to learn that, the game is between Argentina and England. I would think that's where everybody would be from. But where are you seeing everybody coming from?
Yeah, so specifically for inbound international travel, we're seeing an increase in demand from the APAC region, so the Asia Pacific region. And then overall, just a major influx of travelers from Italy, Norway, France. So people really are coming from all over the world to Atlanta for the World Cup, and we are so happy to be welcoming them.
And speaking of welcoming them, you have the Gold Squad here. Tell me about the Gold Squad here.
So the Gold Squad is here today just to give travelers the absolute warmest welcome. The Gold Squad launched last August on their mission to make travel feel golden, and they've been popping up at airports and events ever since.
And of course, here today because of the significance of all the travelers coming in today.
Yes, absolutely. So with this massive influx of travelers, we're here just to put a smile on people's faces. And when people are coming into the facility and we see them turn the corner and spot the dogs, their expressions are just, I mean, it's incredible to see how people light up and get so excited to pet the dogs and get a little bit of love.
Yeah, we just saw that with a big group coming in here and just stopping and petting them, and children seem to love them. And this, this is Winston and Ranger, but there are other dogs, and you guys will have some more, I believe, in Newark on the 17th for the final game, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have the Gold Squad popping up at Newark ahead of the World Cup finals. So excited to greet a global audience there as well, and just create a really memorable experience for people.
And if people want to make their trip a little bit easier, what are some tips here?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the regular stuff, like get to the airport early, give yourself plenty of time, I just say, so you can really unwind and enjoy that journey. Specifically, if you're picking up a rental, we do recommend that you link your flight information to the rental, because it just helps us keep track. Our teams monitor really closely any delays or flight changes, so it helps us to protect your reservation and just get you on your way.
Gotcha. Well, these guys are having fun today. We think Ranger can do a trick for us?
Sure.
This is Ranger here. Let's see. All right, they have had a long day here, and they've been good pups here for the day. It's hard work being out here. They've been out here since about 10, huh?
Yes.
It's about 10, and they're getting ready to wrap up for the day. It's hard work greeting everybody here, but definitely putting a smile on people's faces as they come in here and welcome travelers and welcome those World Cup travelers. And another interesting thing too, we were talking about, a lot of people are staying for a little while, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people are flying in for the games, these maybe one-day matches or one-day events, and then they're using that as an opportunity to explore Atlanta, to explore more cities in the country. And it's really great when they have a rental car. It's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure. You can really set off wherever you feel like. So we're really excited to be welcoming people on their journeys.
Yeah, it's so interesting. People are taking the cars and sticking with them and driving around the country, seeing what the U.S. has to offer. So we'll hang here a little bit longer with Ranger and Winston. Not a bad day, for sure.
Oh, thanks so much for showing us Ranger and Winston there, and making our day a little bit brighter and golden. So cute, and it's pretty cool that Hertz is doing this initiative here to bring some cheer to travelers. Chris, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. Our time here is 1:41. When we return here on Fox Local, the Red Cross is sounding the alarm. They're asking for your help with blood donations. We'll let you know how you can get involved next. Welcome back here to our news conversation here on Fox Local. For many Americans, buying a home feels more challenging than ever. And a new FICO survey looks at what's standing in the way of home ownership and what prospective buyers can do now to better prepare. Let's go ahead and bring in Janelle Dito with FICO. She joins us live to talk more about this and give some tips. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, Janelle. So FICO recently did some research here focusing on home ownership. Tell us, what all did you find?
You know, we found that consumers are still really hesitant around buying a home. Lots of desire to do so, and a lot of people are really planning on doing it, but there's a lot of challenges with the things you would expect, like high home prices and rising interest rates. But there's a lot of opportunity for education as well.
So the desire is still there. That's good news. Again, you know, you mentioned high prices. Are there any other things that that prospective buyers are worried about here when it comes to buying their first home?
Yeah, buying that first home, again, remains a dream for many Americans, but that high home price really translates into a high down payment that causes a lot of concerns for homeowners.
And let's talk credit scores here. What's one misconception about credit scores from home buyers?
Yeah, we also found that many Americans don't understand how important their FICO score is in that home buying process. So that gap of knowledge on knowing their FICO score and being well prepared to start the home ownership journey is something that we want to help consumers bridge that gap.
And what can people do to get more familiar with their credit scores?
Yeah, getting started early on understanding where they are today and taking the steps to improve their credit history if they need to, or preserve it and take care of it while they wait to get into that home of their dreams. So going to My FICO and finding their FICO score there, they can do that for free. And we think you should do that at least 6 months before you start that home buying process, so that you can make sure you're in a good financial place when it comes to your credit and the kind of rates you'll be able to qualify for. A higher FICO score can really impact your home buying options.
Thanks so much for sharing, Janelle. What are some other smart financial moves they can make besides improving their credit score?
Yeah, one of the best ways to keep your credit score where you want it is to pay your bills on time and as agreed. So I always recommend people putting in the automatic payments on their banks and those bills.
And, you know, hearing this, some people may feel a little discouraged if their credit score isn't where it needs to be to buy a home. Is there any encouraging news from the research that FICO did?
Yeah, you know, getting those tools and bridging that education gap can help build confidence, and that's what a lot of people really need is just understanding more of that process. I was surprised by how few people really do understand the process of buying a home when it's such a major step that we take. So a little education, a little research, I think that could go a long way of feeling more confident about the process.
And where can consumers find trustworthy resources about improving their financial readiness?
Yeah, I really like to make sure people are using reliable sources. So like I said, My FICO is a great place to get content about your credit score and building that and maintaining that. And then other government sites like Fannie Mae and reliable institutions can also help with a lot of education.
Janelle, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this very important topic. We look forward to continuing this conversation. I know many people are hoping to buy homes, especially their first home. So thanks so much for joining us to talk about this.
Thank you for having us.
And let's continue our conversation here on Fox Local, but switch things up a little bit. So the American Cross is sounding the alarm today. They are running low on blood supply, so they need your help when it comes to blood donations to meet patients' needs. Our Eli Jordan joins us live with more on how you can help. Eli, thanks so much for joining us to talk about this.
Hey, good afternoon, Jasmine. Yeah, I mean, if the Red Cross is needing blood, that means the hospitals are going to be running low on blood too, because the Red Cross provides, a lot of blood for all our area hospitals, and they're in dire need. 29,000 units of blood are needed every day here in America. And here to talk to me about it is Allison Flexner of the Red Cross. Hey, Allison, how you doing?
Hey, Eli, good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you very much for your time today. So just tell me, how dire is the situation for our blood needs here in the area?
Right now, the Red Cross does have an emergency blood shortage. We saw our blood supply drop 25% in June. A lot of that's due to summer travel, the youth who donate, because a lot of people are getting out of school, graduating from college. We saw 38,000 drop off in appointments from that age group. And we've also seen an increased demand for blood from hospitals in order to meet their patient care needs. So those two factors combined, we have an emergency blood shortage right now.
So it's not just, trauma, which, things, car wrecks, people are traveling more in the summer. So you might see, more need in the trauma area, but also, childbirth, cancer patients, sickle cell patients. I mean, there's a constant need of blood, isn't there?
There is a constant need. Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. And I think a lot of people may not realize blood has a shelf life. It's 42 days. And also it cannot be manufactured. So we are dependent on the generosity of donors, people who are willing to come in, sit down, roll up a sleeve, and make a donation.
And of all the eligible donors, only 3% of those donors give blood. So we could kick that up a lot here in America, couldn't we?
I hope your audience is listening and signs up for an appointment. It's really easy to do. You can just go to our blood donor app. You can download it for free. And on that app, you can just put in your zip code and you'll get an option of times and locations that are convenient to you. Come on down. It takes about an hour of your time. You'll actually be in the chair for 10-15 minutes. We have some amazing phlebotomists here, take good care of you, and you'll know that you actually gave something that can help save lives.
Also, what's cool about the app, you're telling me that you donated blood and you're able to see where your unit of blood went, what hospital went to.
Right, it is really cool. First of all, if you don't know your blood type, say you're a first-time donor, you will learn your blood type, and then also you can follow your blood journey. You'll see that you donated, that it's been tested, that it's in storage. And in the case you're talking about with me, it ended up at Piedmont Hospital, which is right down the street. And that just feels like a really cool connection to know that I might have helped save some lives right up the street.
Not necessarily the patient, but you can see where it went and which hospital used it. Each time you give blood, you say, all right, wonder which hospital is going to use my blood this time. That's kind of cool.
It is cool.
And but also, too, you guys have a little bit of incentive going on if you come down here, right? Till the end of July, I believe.
We do. The biggest incentive, I would say, is the selflessness of donating to help save someone's lives. But we do want to say thank you as well. So if you come down now, you will get a free Fandango movie ticket that you'll receive an email.
I think saving lives is a lot better than that. And also, too,
I agree with you.
But, there's something noble about giving blood. And I think it's a civic duty. I mean, we can do it several times a year. And with the shelf life only being 42 days, I mean, there's a definite need and more people need to give.
We would love for more people to give. You can donate about every 2 months, every 58 days it is. And also we have a really significant need for platelets. That's a bit more involved, but it does go a long way to helping people that are undergoing chemotherapy, cancer patients, trauma victims. And platelets has only a 5-day shelf life. So that's cycles through a lot faster, and you can donate platelets every 7 days.
Yeah, and I think there's daily there's like 5,000 to 7,000 units needed every day, and but yeah, you can give every 7 days. So either whole blood or platelets, or I guess you got the super red or whatever. And I'm not going to get into all that, but there's different things that and our viewers can discover that if they come down and give blood here at the American Red Cross. But you also have a lot of donor locations that people can look at the app and check it out, correct?
That is correct. We have the fixed site down here in Midtown. We have other fixed sites you can find on the app, as well as what we call mobile blood drives that are set up, on an individual given day.
Awesome. Allison Flexner, thank you so much. And Jasmine, if you haven't given blood, go ahead and get some blood out here. It's, people need it. I'm going to get some blood shortly here in the next hour, and because I'm due to give blood. Last time I gave blood was when I was here last time. So, anybody watching out there, you got some time, sign up, get registered, come down here and give some blood, save some lives. Jasmine, back to you.
Eli, good story here. I was going to ask you if you were going to give some blood, but you're going to save that for the 2 o'clock show. So thank you for giving blood today. Yeah. All right, Eli, thanks. We'll see you a little later. Let's talk about gas prices here as we wrap up the 1 o'clock stream. So average gas prices in the metro Atlanta area did climb 4.8 cents per gallon over the past week, reaching about $3.52 per gallon. This is for regular gas. And according to Gas Buddy's latest survey of more than 2,100 stations across the metro area. Now, despite this increase, prices remain 20.6 cents lower than they were a month ago. The national average price of gasoline increased by 10.3%, or 10.3 cents, that is, over the last week to $3.82. So nationally, the average is much higher than what we're seeing here in Atlanta. But still, gas prices are high. So Gas Buddy says rising oil prices are largely responsible for the latest increase at the pump. We know that the war in the Middle East has contributed to this. Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy said oil prices surged after renewed conflict involving the U.S. and Iran, along with fresh attacks on Russian refineries that have tightened global fuel supplies. But a very important story that we will continue to follow here. I know many of you have been concerned about gas prices here in the metro area, but also across Georgia. Our time is 1:56. Thanks so much for joining us. Our news continues with our Ariel Onstad at 2.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. We've got a lot to cover on your Monday afternoon, a busy week ahead, especially as we look at the final FIFA World Cup game here in Atlanta, a semifinal match between Argentina and England. We've got a lot of news on the docket, so let's get started. We were going to start off in Henry County. We're learning more about a special needs educator who was facing child cruelty charges, who's now been acquitted. Our Kevin Stewart joins us live from Henry County to talk more about this. Kevin, what are you learning this afternoon?
Right, a jury came back with its verdict last week. Linda Sturdivant, the accused, a special needs teacher, former special needs teacher here at Stockbridge Elementary School. She was charged with 13 counts of simple battery dating back to August of 2024. She had just started working at the school. It was alleged that she had struck the children, but a jury of her peers said no, there was no evidence that she did that. And we had a chance to talk to her today. She was very excited about this whole experience, to be able to say, hey, I told you so. I'm not guilty, and she's looking forward to getting back to teaching once again. Take a listen.
It affected every area of my life, career-wise, and I lost my job as a result of that. Financially, which that caused financial problems for me down the line. And the mental health, I can't describe what it was like dealing with this, and resulting in the mental health issues that I currently have.
What would you say to those parents?
That was one of the reasons why I wanted the jury trial, and why I wanted the truth to come out and to be told. And I want those parents to know that your children were never harmed under my supervision. All the accusations were fabricated by the accusers, and only they can really tell you I'm not guilty. And it's just as important as my freedom and the justice in this case, not just justice for me, justice also for the students, because they were basically used as pawns to be able to get the case to the level that it got to. I wanted the parents to know.
All right, now this was a 2-day trial, and she says that, again, she doesn't know what happened to those children. She just knows she had nothing to do with it, and she, as you heard there, believes this was all fabricated because of some issues going on at the school, being a new teacher there. She says she does plan to teach again, just not here with the Henry County school system. Ariel?
Interesting that this is the outcome, considering I feel like we're not often, as news reporters and journalists, covering acquittals as often, even though they can happen. Were you in the courtroom at all, or were you able to get maybe a sense of what some of the sticking points were for the jury?
No, I think this is really important to know. We did not cover the trial, and this is probably something that we as journalists tend to be involved with quite often. We'll cover an arrest. Sometimes someone gets arrested, but of course, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And this was an example of a case where someone who was acquitted reached out to us and said, hey, I told you, let's talk about it. And certainly that is something that as journalists we should always be willing to do, and Fox 5 certainly has been willing to do that. Ariel?
Great point, Kevin. I loved hearing her side of things, her being able to share her story and kind of the struggles she went through and what she's hoping to do with her life now as a result. So Kevin, thanks for your reporting, bringing this story to our attention. And yeah, not every day we get the interview with the person at the center of everything, so I appreciate it. I know we'll see you again this evening, Kevin. I'll let you get back to it. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, taking a look at our timing, I want to keep us on track. So let's talk about a big case that we're going to be following here. Accused Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray is set to appear in court for a potential plea, and we are just learning of this since Friday. I want to get you updated here because, as you may remember, he is accused of the deadly mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Carroll County, Georgia. He's going to appear in court later this month for a plea and sentencing hearing. That's according to court records ordered Friday. Now, he is scheduled to appear at the Carroll County Courthouse July 24th at 9 a.m. for this non-negotiated plea and sentencing hearing.
That's according to court documents. The hearing is expected to continue into the following week. Gray currently faces 55 charges, including 4 counts of malice and felony murder, cruelty to children, aggravated assault, among others. Now, he previously pled not guilty to the charges, but the upcoming hearing is giving us an indication that that could change. The charges do stem from September 2024, where there was a shooting attack on the Appalachia High School campus that killed 2 students and 2 teachers. Barrow County Court Superior Court Judge Nicholas Prim previously granted a defense request to move that trial out of Barrow County so that it would go to Columbia County, so that way jurors, they could get a more fair and impartial jury given the nature of this case and how publicized the details have been. We'll continue to keep you updated as this moves forward. In a related case, keep in mind the accused shooter's father, Colin Gray. Colin was found guilty back in March on 27 felony counts, including second-degree murder. So we will keep you updated as we near the date of that hearing. In the meantime, also in the courtroom, I want to let you know that the defense is asking for a continuance in the trial for Sarah Grace Patrick. She is a teen accused of killing her mother and stepfather. During a calendar call ahead of the August 3rd trial date, Patrick's newly appointed attorney, Sean Hoover, told the court he inherited the case earlier this year and assembled a new team to receive evidence or review evidence and investigate issues surrounding the prosecution. He told the judge what initially appeared to be questions about the chain of custody for evidence had expanded into broader concerns involving the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, local law enforcement, and forensic procedures. He says the defense has brought in attorneys and investigators with experience handling juvenile and capital cases, and this is all because Patrick was 17 at the time of the killings. She is now 18 years old and is accused of killing her mother, 41-year-old Kristen Brock, and her stepfather, 45-year-old James Brock, inside their Carrollton home back in February of 2025. She is facing charges that include malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault. So we're getting these new details from her defense team, and we'll keep you updated as things move forward. Let's talk about an arrest that was served recently. Lil Tunk, as he is known. Deputies have captured a Georgia music artist Saturday night on an outstanding homicide warrant in Fulton County. Authorities had recovered rifles and a handgun during a targeted operation in Lamar County, and you're able to see videos from this operation as it was carried out. Tavorian Lindsay is this rapper's name. He also goes by the name Lil Tunk, and they arrested him on an active warrant. The arrest happened during an operation Saturday night, and he was arrested by Lamar County deputies. Ultimately, this stems from a homicide warrant in Fulton County, and during the sweep, deputies recovered multiple firearms, and Lindsay was immediately turned over to the custody of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office at the scene. He's facing several charges, including 6 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of criminal attempt to commit a felony, and 4 counts of aggravated assault. Ultimately, they've not yet confirmed the specific details about this homicide case or the identity of the victim there. We're also unclear as to the street address where this operation happened. We'll continue to keep you updated if Lindsay's going to face additional charges and as police continue to go through with this investigation. In the meantime, let's talk about a tragic situation that we're learning more about in Griffin. This is something that we've been following closely. You're taking a look at photos we were able to get from a GoFundMe. A 31-year-old man and a father of 7 has been killed after a shooting at Raymond Head Park on Saturday night. This unfolded in Griffin, and authorities are trying to figure out what led up to this shooting. They responded to Raymond Head Park shortly after 10 o'clock Saturday after reports of gunfire. Now, when first responders got to the park, they found 31-year-old Malcolm Freeling with a gunshot wound. First responders rushed him to Wellstar Spalding Regional Hospital in an ambulance where he was later pronounced dead. According to a GoFundMe campaign, Freeling was married and the father of 7 children. Authorities have not identified any suspects or a motive behind this deadly gunfire, nor as to some of the other natures of the crime, like how many bullets were fired. All of that stuff we're we're still waiting to learn more about from police. This is ongoing as they continue to gather evidence and look for leads, and we'll keep you updated as we get new details. If you have any information on this, do give Griffin Police a call. In the meantime, let's talk about this situation that unfolded in Midtown. You know, a lot of us who live in the Midtown area or who have been in the city of Atlanta, if you've been there recently and you've been near Colony Square, you see a skyscraper that stands abandoned, vacant, and has been worked on for the better part of the last 2 to 5 years, truly. And no work has really been done on the facility, as you can see from this video we're showing you here. Well, now at this point, a collapsed scaffolding that ran along the side of the street collapsed, and this scaffolding, as you can see, had been installed during construction-related work, but ultimately it caused traffic delays Sunday and has prompted renewed safety demands from people living in the Midtown Atlanta area. This covered scaffolding covered the sidewalk near the old Campanile building, and it was destroyed overnight. This 20-story building construction site sits at 14th and Peachtree Streets, and it's across from Colony Square. Now, that scaffolding ran along 14th Street right in between Peachtree and Juniper. After the collapse, a representative from the construction company says they're filing a police report with Atlanta Police to figure out what exactly caused the structure to fall. The incident caused traffic delays as residents have called for immediate action regarding this abandoned building. Now, I'd like to let you take a listen to one resident who's been outspoken on this issue and some of the frustration.
My first thought was, I hope no one got hurt. And my second thought was, I'm surprised it took this long before something happened, given how long it's been here. And just the general state of no one that we ever see coming around, checking on things, doing work on the building. It is concerning as to how long is it going to stay stable and how long will it remain safe.
Now, officials have not confirmed what specific impact or force caused that covered pedestrian walkway to collapse overnight, and we're not sure how long it's going to take workers to clear that debris and fully reopen the sidewalk and the traffic lanes. Keep in mind, though, for a lot of people who live in the area, they say this is just a symptom of a much larger issue, which is, while it's annoying that this scaffolding has collapsed and it is a safety issue, the bigger question is what is going on with this 20-story building that has been sitting here years in Midtown in a very busy area, and no work has really been done to it in quite some time. Keep in mind, Patrick Turner, the man we had spoke to, is a neighborhood resident that for more than 7 years has been trying to get an online petition with more than 3,000 signatures having that move forward. He's trying to get that petition with more than 3,000 signatures to move forward for more substantial action to be taken. He says that the petition has received minimal feedback from local leaders and the construction firm about this project, so we'll keep you updated. In the meantime, let's move on here and talk a little bit about what we're learning regarding some news on Capitol Hill. But no doubt at this point you have heard the news that Senator Lindsey Graham has died. At this point, the big question is, who is going to fill Senator Graham's role on Capitol Hill? His death has shocked Washington on the eve of its return, and now his Senate seat is vacant. Representatives Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman or Wayne Biggs, as well as Senator Tim Scott, candidates are going to have to face off in a primary later this summer before a special election in November. But the Senate has returned today, and they're processing this news. A preliminary medical report says 71-year-old Lindsey Graham died of an aortic tear due to cardiovascular disease. Funeral plans are still being worked out, and now the search for his replacement is the talk. The governor of South Carolina will appoint a temporary replacement to finish Graham's current term, which is going to run out in January. A special primary will then happen in August, and the nominee will face Democratic Annie Andrews in a November special election. Take a listen to what Representative Sherry Biggs of South Carolina had to say about the process.
There are a lot of conversations going on. I think whoever the governor decides and the president, I know they are discussing options right now.
So a lot of options being floated around. Keep in mind, the Senate is also without Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, whose health is still the big question mark after a weeks-long hospital stay. So we will continue to keep you updated on that. In the meantime, the war between Iran and the United States has escalated. At this point, the U.S. and Iran traded accusations and threats over the weekend after heavy American airstrikes and Iranian rocket retaliation. The weekend has brought more escalation in this back and forth that we've been seeing between the United States and Iran. It started with Iran attacking a civilian vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States responded with airstrikes, and then that prompted Iranian rocket fire aimed at America's Gulf allies. Washington and Tehran are now pointing fingers and issuing new threats, both claiming the other side violated the ceasefire. Take a listen to the U.S. ambassador to NATO as well as a former Secretary of State, their take on this.
And that President Trump, if shipping is attacked or if the Iranians want to act belligerent, then he will respond with overwhelming force. We saw it when 3 ships were attacked a couple nights ago, 90-plus military strikes on targets. In this most recent attack, 140 or more military targets were attacked.
I don't fault the president for trying, but in the end, this regime is likely never to change its way. They told us it was accidental that they fired at these ships. Wow, that's really bad. Like, if you've got ballistic missiles and you don't have control over them, could you tell us who does? Because we'd like to speak with them. Look, in the end, this regime is irredeemable.
So it's not clear at this point if the White House is truly looking for a diplomatic solution at this point. The conflict is focused on the Strait of Hormuz. That seems to be the clear sticking point. And a growing number of experts are saying only military force will keep the strait open. On Monday, today, both the U.S. and Iran claimed they have control over the strait. The U.S. Navy is escorting ships through a southern route near the coast of Oman. But with Iran still targeting tankers, it's not clear when this situation will stabilize. President Donald Trump said that the American blockade on Iranian ports is now back in effect, and America's going to charge a 20% toll on eligible cargo. And this does continue as we're seeing the Strait of Hormuz be the critical flashpoint here. Now, negotiators from Pakistan and Egypt are now scrambling to get the ceasefire back in place, even though President Trump suggested that it is now over, suggesting ultimately that it is Iran's hard line and military that is the big sticking point here in terms of trying to get to a deal. We've seen the United States talk a little bit about how certain Iranian facets of the regime, the politicians do want a deal, but Iranian's military leaders do not. In the meantime, let's talk about some big news unfolding out of the European Union, because we're learning more about a deal between Ukraine and 9 other countries that has been recently signed in order to protect Europe from ballistic missiles. Ultimately, these 9 countries and Ukraine are drawing on Ukraine's experience in fighting Russia's full-scale invasion over the past 4 years. The goal is to build a shared ballistic missile defense capability for Europe. And keep in mind, today, Ukrainian President, as you can see, Volodymyr Zelensky, arrived in Paris, and he's holding meetings with 24 European leaders. He's asking for help in developing measures against Russia's ballistic missiles, which have pummeled his country's power grid. But as you can see, there's more to this discussion, because now there's a coalition formed in order to protect Europe from any ballistic missiles. The statement gave no time frame for setting up this defense system. The plan is open for other countries to join, but we'll continue to keep you updated as they try to deter those threats. In the meantime, let's bring you back a little closer to home, because we are learning a little bit more about a shooting involving an ICE agent in Maine. At this point, we're learning it involved a motorist in Maine, and it is the second time in a week that a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers have used deadly force. Senator Angus King in Maine says that Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin told him that an agent opened fire after the man tried to use his vehicle as a weapon who were as a weapon against the agents who were pursuing him for deportation. So ultimately, the agents involved in the shooting, they say, pulled out their guns and fired at the suspect inside of that vehicle. The agents involved in the shooting did not have body-worn cameras, Senator King says. He said this is information relayed to him by Mark Wayne Mullen. The FBI is leading the investigation. And the question that Senator King has told reporters in Portland, Maine, before boarding a flight to Washington is that what was the nature of this attack? What did it look like with the suspect using that vehicle? Were the officers threatened? Were the threats rising to the level that justified force? Again, all questions that Senator King brought up before he boarded his plane to Washington. The man who was shot was a 26-year-old from Colombia, and we'll continue to keep you updated as we get more information. The Associated Press is reporting that he was authorized to work in the United States and had a social security number. And after the shooting, the man's family contacted some immigration advocacy groups in order to get more information about this. So we will keep you updated as we get more information. Let's talk a little bit more about a student loan update, because I do want to keep you updated on this in case it could affect you. Student loan holders should be aware that if they're on the new RAP plan to pay off their debt, they could lose key benefits if they don't pay on time. RAP refers to the Repayment Assistance Plan. It offers advantages to federal student loan borrowers, but only if their bills are paid on time. So if you are on a repayment plan, basically they're saying you have to pay those repayments. Even if borrowers miss their due date by a single day, they will forfeit the government's interest waiver, principal match, and other perks that are considered valuable ways to save money. We will continue to keep you updated on that, but in the meantime, let's, looking at our timing here, get you a check of your weather forecast with meteorologist Joanne Feldman here upcoming. We're seeing a lot of these pop-up showers, and Joanne's going to let us know what to expect through the week. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being here and being live with us. As always, you've got questions about any stories we're covering, drop it in our TikTok, YouTube chats, Fox 5 Atlanta. And if you want to see a story covered that I'm not talking about yet today, just let me know and we'll work to get that in for you. In the meantime, let's take a live look out over Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Gray skies and wet runways. This gives you an indication of what some parts of the metro are seeing right now. These pop-up summer storms, as we know so well in Georgia, are showing their face for sure this week. Meteorologist Joanne Feldman is breaking down some of the timing regarding these storms, what to expect, and of course our temperature outlook as this week is expected to be quite warm as well. Let's send it over to Joanne.
Well, here we are on this Monday going into a couple of days of below average temperatures. That's really hard to do in July, but we're going to do it now between now and midweek. Notice today and tomorrow's high temperatures several degrees below that average high of 90. But being July, we know this isn't something that's necessarily going to last all that long. We are back to near or above average temperatures, that very summer-like air in place for the end of the work week and going into the weekend. So the reason we're experiencing this change now, we've had a frontal system slip through over the last 24 hours, kind of settling to our south, but it's stalling out across the southeast. This is going to be a focus for showers and thunderstorms. They're going to be very widespread here for today, especially during these afternoon hours and into the evening. But in those moments when it's not raining, we will have cloudy skies and those temperatures again running cooler. But our concern is going to be what these storms can do, because we've seen time and time again over the last few days that the afternoon storms are capable of producing stronger wind gusts. Stay alert for any severe thunderstorm warnings. And in addition to that, these can be really efficient rainmakers. We can get very heavy rainfall out of them and lead to localized pockets of flash flooding. So be aware of that. If you are spending any time outdoors today, make sure you have that Fox 5 Storm Team app so that you can get those warnings and kind of work around what we have. Now, the impact means we go from yesterday's, Sunday's high of 92 to those low 80s. Again, that's below average and well below the record 105 set back in 1980. Now, I mentioned a severe storm risk. It's not necessarily area-wide. It would be a little more likely in these areas out to the east that we could get some downburst winds from a storm or two. That's a level 1 risk on a scale of 1 to 5. But the scale that we use for excessive rainfall and maybe some flash flooding potential is on a scale of 1 to 4. Well, the Weather Prediction Center has us at a level 2 for that to happen. And most will get rain. Most will get repeated showers and storms for this day. What I want to focus in on is what's happening for late afternoon here and into the evening hours when that's most widespread. But even through the evening, up till midnight or beyond, it's not necessarily ever going to be at any 1 hour completely dry across North Georgia. We're just going to taper off to fewer showers or thunder showers during the late night and to start out Tuesday. But Tuesday can start out with some rain also. And so Tuesday in a lot of ways will be a repeat of your Monday weather. When we total it all up here over the next few days, those pockets of heavier downpours can manage to do this. Anything in purple is going to be over 2, maybe close to 3 inches of rain. But even the minimal amounts or the lower amounts on this map are an inch plus. This is helpful for drought conditions, of course, but it makes it a messy start to the work week here. And then we trade things off after midweek. Specifically, the rain chances get lower, the temperatures get hotter. About a 20 to 30% chance of rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is much more typical of July. These are those isolated pop-up afternoon thunderstorms where most of your day isn't impacted, but everybody's impacted by that heat with those hottest days into the low 90s for Friday and the weekend.
All right, Joanne, thanks so much for keeping us updated as we take another live look out at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. I do want to bring in maybe our camera 27 looking at the King and Queen buildings in Sandy Springs, showing you the difference between the southern part, southwest part of our metro versus maybe the more north part. You can see hasn't quite rained there yet, so we'll keep you updated as things do begin to move through. But this is how Georgia is. These pop-up storms that we see where it can be raining like crazy in one area, but then dry in another. So you Southerners, we know we're used to this. As we continue, you guys, let's talk about some other things happening here in Georgia and throughout the Southeast. Operation Slowdown is in effect, and this is a big initiative from State Highway Patrol in order to get speeders to slow down. So drivers across the Southeast may start to see more law enforcement officers on interstates and major highways as they begin this annual operation for the summer. The Speed Enforcement and Awareness Initiative runs from July 13th through July 19th in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, and Tennessee. So really here across 5 states in the Southeast for about a week. The campaign is designed to reduce crashes and save lives by warning drivers about the dangers of speeding and reckless driving. So keep in mind that if you are speeding during this time period, it is much more likely you will be getting a ticket or getting pulled over at least. Keep in mind as well that more than 490 law enforcement enforcement agencies across the Southeast issued close to 53,000 speeding citations and warnings during last year's Operation Slowdown campaign, as well as last year. This enforcement effort led to more than 1,400 DUI arrests, more than 2,200 citations, and more than 3,000 citations and warnings for distracted driving violations. So even if you're not speeding, but if you're on your phone, you're not focused, that also falls under this category. Let's talk about, speaking of driving, gas prices have started to climb here once again in Georgia. Curious what you're seeing at the pump where you're at. Are prices decent? Have they gone back up? We've seen prices climb about 5 cents a gallon over the past week, reaching more than $3.52 per gallon, which is honestly, if you've been used to paying around $4, maybe you welcome this new average. That is according to Gas Buddy's latest survey of more than 2,100 stations across the metro area. Despite this increase, prices are still lower, 20 cents lower than they were a month ago. But as a driver, you're paying 62 cents more this time this year than last year. So keep that in mind. But of course, this is all due to the instability happening with the Strait of Hormuz, as we have seen peace talks between Iran and the United States disintegrate, and now both forces are trading attacks. In the meantime, let's talk about this recall, because if you are thinking of grilling this summer and you have this grill, just want to make sure that you are aware, because it's sold at Lowe's and Walmart and is being recalled for potential injury from a glass component. So if you recognize this grill, let me tell you why it's being recalled. The Consumer Protection Safety Commission says Conair is recalling about 12,000 of these Cuisinart Propel Plus and 4-burner 3-in-1 gas grills. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says that the tempered glass window in that pizza oven can shatter during use, potentially causing serious injury from lacerations. They've received 37 reports of shattered glass during use. One fire was reported, though no injuries have been reported. Grills were sold through Cuisinart's online site, Lowe's, and Walmart. This is from December 2024 through May of 26 for about $500 to $700. The commission says consumers should immediately stop using the grill and visit Conair's website to see if your grill is part of the recall. If so, the commission does say that you should remove the glass and take 2 photos, one of the removed glass, one of the grill serial number, and upload it to the company's website, that is Cuisinart, and you may receive a $500 refund check or be reimbursed for the original purchase amount with the proof of receipt. So if you're planning on doing some summer grilling, you recognize this grill pizza oven in one, just keep that in mind here. As we continue, let's talk about a new IRS penalty relief that is happening now for the first time. Prices are high. We know that. We're all spending more money for things we're not used to spending money for. So the IRS, it seems, might be trying to give people a bit of a break. The IRS says that they're going to give some automatic breaks to some taxpayers incurring penalties if they have previously paid on time. So if you're a good borrower, good payer, then you're going to reap the rewards of that. The IRS announced a new penalty relief auto processing program called Automatic Exemption Penalty. Basically, as a taxpayer, you're going to qualify if you have a history of timely filing and paying taxes past the paying your taxes on time the past 3 years, or 12 consecutive quarterly filings. Taxpayers don't have to act to receive this penalty grace, but the IRS will apply the automatic exemption and issue a notice to the taxpayer that the relief was granted. It's going to start this summer, this program, and it applies to returns beginning with the 2025 tax year and the 2026 quarterly returns, as well as future periods. Taxpayers had to request penalty removals via a system called First Time Rebate, which the IRS is going to phase out. So basically the news here is if you're a good borrower, you're not going to incur penalties. The IRS is automatically enrolling you in this program as opposed to you having to do it yourself. So I don't really want to talk about this next story, but we're going to talk about it because chances are you need to be aware of it. Yeah, you do see diarrhea in the lower third there. Gross. Rob DiRienzo sitting in his car ready to talk about this parasite that is causing a spike in cases here in Georgia. Rob, am I saying this right? Cyclospora.
Yes, that is the bacteria we're talking about.
Okay.
And you do say this is a news conversation, so unfortunately we have to have a conversation about something that's not so fun. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to show you the live look at CDC right now. We're trying to go live out there, but it is just so rainy, as you heard Joanne talking about a moment ago. So we're staying here inside the car, but the CDC has confirmed up to 30 cases here in Georgia. I should say the Department of Public Health, 800, more than that, nationwide. So this is something a lot of people are concerned about, Ariel, from 31 states around the country. The Georgia Department of Health, again, tracking those 11 to 30 cases of cyclosporiasis. That is the full name of this type of diarrhea you get if you contract it. Now, again, there's 86 hospitalizations the CDC is tracking, but actually there's probably a lot more than that at this point. Now, the doctors at the Cleveland Clinic say it's not contagious between humans, but you could get infected when you eat something with cyclospora, that bacteria we were just talking about, on it. And then it could take up to 6 days for the symptoms to start. And I want to tell you the really gross part now, Ariel. It often spreads when crops are sprayed with water contaminated with human poop. Now, at this point, they don't know exactly where or what the source is. Listen.
The food in concern are foods such as cilantro, basil, raspberry, blackberries, snow peas, packaged lettuce. And people are eating more of those things during the summer. But right now, we haven't identified any successful traces, say identifying a particular country, a particular food production area, particular farmer's market. We just don't know.
It's actually quite difficult to find out the root cause because unlike the bacteria that infect the gut, such as E. coli or salmonella, this is a parasite, so it mutates quite quickly.
Now, Ariel, they say during the summer, cases of this normally spike, but this year it's exceptionally bad to the point that you want to take extra care with any fresh produce. You want to wash it, make sure it's thoroughly washed, rinsed off, just to make sure there's no bad stuff entering your system. And here's the kicker with this, Ariel. Could take up to 6 weeks for this thing to clear up, but it can come back and then go away and then come back and go away. And doctors say it could resolve on its own, but antibiotics are really the best course of action at this point. So here again, we're outside the CDC headquarters trying to get a little more guidance and data from them at this point. But you can imagine this is something you definitely want to avoid this summer cookout.
Yeah, Rob, I'm listening to you rattle off all the things that could be contaminated. Obviously, not fear-mongering, just the reality of you think about like a raspberry, a basil, a cilantro. All of these are very delicate produce that have a lot of crevices and can absorb, you know, fertilizer and water more readily than maybe some other produce, hence maybe the risk being higher. But I'm listening to you talk about it and I'm thinking, my goodness, this is like half my diet. I need to make sure that I am washing my produce really, really well because I don't want this. And I think you would think you'd be better, but then like it comes back. Please no.
Right, exactly. And so as a couple of things I want to point out that doctors mentioned, a lot of these cases or a lot of these outbreaks tend to come from imported produce. So produce that comes from out of the country, countries that might not have as rigorous health standards that we do here in the U.S. So some of the tips for buying stuff, again, we don't know exactly what type of produce this is coming from, how it's spreading, where it's spreading, but they do say you can be on the safe side or try to play it safe by just using domestically grown or even locally grown produce that tends to lower your risk a lot. But again, until they can find out the exact source of this, it's anyone's guess.
Okay. Well, Rob, thank you as always for joining us with the update. Appreciate the conversation. Wish I didn't have to read the lower third, the banner I have here for our people watching with us at the bottom of the screen. And if you're watching and you're thoroughly grossed out, don't worry, join the club. But Rob, thank you as always. We will see you again this evening for more details on cyclospora cases here in Georgia and what we can do to mitigate the risks. So Rob DiRienzo, I appreciate you. You guys, as we continue, let's clear that so you don't have to keep reading it. There we go. Coming up next, we are going to check in on all things World Cup. You know, we've got an incredible semifinal match headed this way here to Atlanta on Wednesday. We are going to talk with our Chris Rosenthal about a rental car company and what they're seeing ahead of the semifinal. All of that straight ahead. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about the FIFA World Cup semifinal happening here in Atlanta between Argentina and England. Argentina and England will meet on the pitch at 3 p.m. Eastern time here in the afternoon in Atlanta. Now, keep in mind, France punched its ticket to the semifinals with a victory over Morocco. Spain advanced after defeating Belgium. The two European powers, France and Spain, will meet Tuesday in Dallas with kickoff scheduled for 3 p.m. On the other side of the bracket, England secured its place in the tournament's Final Four by eliminating Norway. Defending champion Argentina joined them after defeating Switzerland 3-1 in extra time. That happened Saturday night in Kansas City. But ultimately, Argentina and England are coming for a historic matchup in Atlanta. Now, that is going to mark the 8th and final World Cup contest played here in Atlanta. So we will say goodbye to our World Cup games here in the city. What an incredible run we have had as you take a live look at Atlanta Stadium. By Monday morning, By this morning, we have seen ticket prices skyrocket. The cheapest prices available for tickets through major resale marketplaces were hovering around $3,200, including taxes and fees. Now, most of the lower-priced options were located in the stadium's upper deck, though prices are expected to continue fluctuating as that kickoff approaches. We're going to see passionate English fans, passionate Argentine fans. This is going to be a match to watch. And in the meantime, I want to let you know that we have seen such an incredible response to the expanded tournament this go-around in 2026 with the FIFA World Cup that FIFA's president Gianni Infantino is discussing expanding the World Cup again in 2030. This would be up to 64 teams. He says that every nation should have the chance to dream of playing at football's biggest event. The 2026 World Cup was the first to feature 48 teams, expanding from 32 teams, and it seems this further increase could be in the cards. So this is something that Infantino is considering, and we will keep you updated as it moves forward. In the meantime, let's talk about what we're seeing a little closer here to home. A squad of Golden visitors is going to be greeting guests coming for the semifinal here in Atlanta for the World Cup. This Golden squad, it sounds like it's furry. It's ready to give visitors, some licks, help them de-stress. Chris Rosenthal joining us live. And Chris, I understand Hertz is putting this on. What are you seeing?
Has spent the morning and afternoon here with their Gold Squad, a squad of Golden Retrievers, Winston and Ranger, here greeting travelers. You know, the interesting thing here is that this is, they say, the busiest day for them ahead of this World Cup semifinals here in Atlanta on Wednesday, with all the travelers coming in to visit our city and come to the game, or just come for all the festivities. So I have Fallon here with Hertz, and tell me a little bit about what you guys are seeing as far as the influx of passengers here.
Yeah, so today is actually projected to be the highest rental pickup day ahead of the World Cup semifinals this week.
And, it's kind of surprising to me. We were talking earlier, I would have thought most of the travelers here would be from Argentina or England, rather, but where are you seeing them come from?
Yeah, so it's truly a global audience. Specifically for our inbound international traveler demand, we are looking at the highest requests from travelers from the APAC region, or the Asia Pacific region, as well as just overall increased travelers from France, Italy, and Norway. So we're just really excited to welcome everybody from all over the world.
Yeah, a few minutes ago, I saw some travelers here, also from Argentina, here for the game. They said they're here till Thursday. You had some special golden retrievers here earlier. I think they had to go home. Their shift was over just a few minutes ago. But tell me about this the Gold Squad here.
Yes, we had Ranger and Winston here with us today. Essentially, the Gold Squad launched in August of last year, and since then they've been on a mission to just bring more golden feels to people, make travel feel absolutely golden. It's really wonderful having them here during such a high volume travel season with all of like the vacation travel and the World Cup. When people come around the corner and they're kind of in go mode and maybe a little bit of travel stress, and they see the dogs here and they just absolutely light up and they get to pet them, it really just makes a huge impact.
Yeah, I noticed that as people were coming through here. They come through here, they get off the plane, they come here to get their car. It's a stressful process, and they came to see those dogs, and you could definitely tell that it got some of the stress off of them. It was a nice break for them. Now you're gonna have more of these dogs at some of the other games and in New York, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So ahead of the World Cup finals, we are going to have the Gold Squad popping up at Newark Airport. So we're really excited to welcome guests there as well, and just make travel feel a little bit more golden, put some smiles on people's faces, and give all of our international guests just the warmest welcome we absolutely can.
And people who are coming, renting cars during this busy time, busy summer, whether you're traveling for FIFA or just going on vacation, some things people can do to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I travel personally, just get there as early as you can. It really helps to unwind and be able to enjoy your travel days when you give yourself plenty of time. Beyond that, if you are picking up a rental car, we do recommend that you pair your rental information with your flight information. That way our teams can just keep track of any delays or changes, and it just helps us to get you on the road and just protect your reservation.
Absolutely. Great advice there. And one other thing I thought was really interesting we were talking about earlier was that a lot of these people coming in town, they're staying for a little while and maybe renting the car, keeping it for a bit, driving around the country.
Yeah, so one thing that's great about having a rental car when you travel is it really opens up your experience. You can do sort of a pick your own adventure. We're finding that people that are coming to Atlanta for some of these one-day games, they're actually extending their trip and seeing more of Atlanta and all the amazing culture we have to offer here, and then taking their journey even farther into other cities in the United States and just getting to experience all the wonderful things that the United States has to offer.
And we certainly welcome them, and those dogs from the Gold Squad, they were here to welcome them, and it was really fun spending the day with them. Myself, I'll tell you, they put a smile on my face, and it was really exciting to see them put a smile on other passengers' faces as well.
Chris, I love seeing these furry friends. I think it's really neat to be greeted when you come off your stressful flight or whatever travel plans you have, to be able to see a dog, especially if you are a dog lover. Nice to get some pets in as you go about your day. So really clever idea. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, you guys, we're going to check in with Chris again at 3. We are going to be checking in with our Eli Jordan, who off to my right, I am looking over and I see him ready to go. He's going to talk about a critical shortage and what you can do to help coming up. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. Let's talk about a critical shortage the Red Cross is seeing. It would be blood. And because we are in these summer months, the Red Cross has seen a sharp decline in blood since about May, and it's creating a really severe gap between what they need to be able to save lives and what they have. So our Eli Jordan is out ready to help fill the need. Eli, looks like you're given some critical life force there. What is this, your third time to give blood? Here live with us?
Yeah, I mean, it is my third time here live, I think. No, this is my fourth time actually here live. And I do it for the snacks. This is what it's all about. It's for the snacks. Now, but seriously, there is a shortage of a need here at the Red Cross and all across the country. I mean, blood is needed every 2 seconds. 29,000 units of blood is needed every day here in America. It's more than just trauma patients or surgery patients. There's chronic illnesses like sickle cell patients, and there's also cancer patients. All of us, I think, probably knows somebody who has needed blood at one point in their life, and it's a critical need. It only, stays on the shelf for 42 days, and that's not long at all. And so, every day, hospitals are pulling blood off the shelf, using it, and then where do they get their blood? Well, they get it from the Red Cross. And so the Red Cross is saying, hey, we got an emergency shortage. We need the public to come out. And only 3% of eligible people that can give blood. And so, if we can get up that percentage, we wouldn't be seeing these critical shortages, every 2 or 3 times a year. I mean, especially during the summer, kids love to donate in high school and they go off on vacation. Well, there's no more donations happening. But I did speak to Allison Flexner of the Red Cross, and here's what she had to say about the shortage.
Right now, we have an emergency blood shortage. We've seen a 25% drop in blood donations in the month of June alone. A lot of that's due to summer travel, the youth population, people getting out of school, also graduating. And we saw like a 38,000 drop off in the number of appointments coming from that age group. Then you also see an increase in the number of traumas go up in the summertime, a lot of more vehicle accidents. So we've seen both a drop in people making blood donations, scheduling appointments, as well as an increased demand from hospitals. And we want to make sure that we can meet their care needs.
This goes beyond what people, I guess, generally just think about when, need for blood. It's more than just surgeries and car wrecks, I guess.
It could be people living with sickle cell disease. It could be people undergoing a complicated pregnancy. I have a colleague who just gave birth not too long ago. She had a complicated pregnancy that put her life and her unborn child's life in danger. Thankfully, she was able to receive several blood transfusions, and both her and her son are doing really well right now.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's safe to say that most of us probably know someone that has needed blood before in the past.
We probably do, but I think a lot of people don't think about it. We did a survey recently and found that fewer than 1 in 5 people are aware that blood has a 42-day shelf life, that it cannot be stored indefinitely. And to that point, every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. So there is someone in need. There's a constant need.
Yes, there is a constant need. I had a friend of mine many years ago. He had emergency surgery. He had to have 80 units of blood to survive, and he was in a bad situation. And what if that happens 2 or 3 times in a hospital, and all of a sudden they're in this shortage? So if we can get just more people to donate, jack that 3% up from the eligible donors, get it up to 5, 6, 7, 10%, we'd be in a lot better situation. But also, too, platelets. Chemo patients need the platelets, and you can donate for platelets every 7 days, but that only has a shelf life of, let's see, 5 days. Yep, 5 days. And then, but you can come in every 7 days and donate platelets, but for whole blood, you come in every 56 days, and that has a shelf life of 42 days. But every 56 days for red blood, every 7 days for platelets. Come on down, do your part. It's your civic duty, and help save some lives. And let's get the Red Cross, and let's get ourselves out of this blood emergency. It's not just about the Red Cross and the hospitals. It's about all of us, because we're all humans. We all can share the blood, and we help each other out by doing this. And you help each other out anonymously. And what's really cool, if you go to redcrossblood.org, you can also find where you can download an app, and you can see where your unit of blood goes, what hospital it goes to, and I think that's pretty cool. So check it out, redcrossblood.org. And but when you can, schedule yourself an appointment, come down here and donate some blood and help out your fellow American.
Eli, it's really neat what you mentioned. I have donated blood quite a few times, and I love to watch in the Red Cross app. It shows you where your blood is headed, who benefited, what department, how it was used. A really cool way to get people invested. So, Eli, thanks so much for joining us live. Thank you for the donation, by the way. We'll see you again at 3. As we continue here, you guys, very briefly, I do want to let you know that something regarding the social media controversy that we've been seeing as it relates to children's use of social media. Calls for limits to children's social media use have been heating up, not just here in the United States, but now a top European Union official is calling for limits to be placed on how children use social media sites. A special EU panel has recommended restricted access for kids under 13 years old until tech companies can prove their platforms are safe. A report from a special panel set up to study child safety online recommended that further precautionary age restrictions should be considered for children over 13. Now, the EU president has said that children under 3 years old should have no exposure to screens whatsoever. The EU's powerful executive branch are likely to come up with a policy proposal for the 27 member countries that are in the EU bloc here in the near future. These proposals could have a great impact on how other European countries decide how children should use social media. This could have a ripple effect and something we will continue to keep an eye on as it moves forward. Coming up here, we are going to get a check of your news and weather with Tom Haynes standing by, getting ready to join us for 3 o'clock. I'm Ariel Onstadt. It's been great to see you for 2.
Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes. Welcome to another work week as we make our way through what is a very busy start of the week in terms of news to get to. Got a lot going on today, which we'll get to here. We begin in Gwinnett County this afternoon, where police are asking for the public's help to track down a domestic homicide suspect after a woman was found dead inside a Norcross apartment. Let's get out to our Ray Urena, who's standing by live on this. Ray, you're live at the scene with details on who investigators are looking for this afternoon.
Yeah, Tom, we just finished talking to Gwinnett County Police just a little bit less than 30 minutes ago or so, and they tell us that they are looking for 25-year-old Jesus Guerrero Ramirez. We're going to put up a picture on your screen right now just so we can exactly show what he looks like. They say that he is the person that is responsible for fatally shooting 32-year-old Guadalupe Salazar at the Sterling Glen apartments near Norcross last Monday. Investigators say that they were called out at about 1:30 in the morning to this shooting, and they found Ms. Salazar dead inside of her apartment. Police just told us not too long ago that they believe that this was potentially verbal altercation that ended up leading into shooting. Now, here's where the case stands right now. Right now, Mr. Guerrero Ramirez, he is a fugitive, he is at large, and investigators tell us that he does have ties outside of the country, specifically Mexico. They also say that he has ties not only here in Gwinnett County, but also in Texas. So that's kind of where investigators are focusing their attention, but they need help from the public to figure out his exact whereabouts. Now, we're going to show a little bit of a soundbite here from Master Police Officer Brock Marks with Gwinnett County Police about detectives' current efforts to locate this suspect.
There is always a potential reality. He does have ties in Mexico and also, like I said, in Texas as well. So at this time, like I said, we're doing the best we can to locate him. However, you know, in an incident like this, when something like this occurs, most instances a suspect plans not to stick around.
And detectives tell us that they've already pulled warrants for Mr. Guerrero Ramirez's arrest. They say that they're going to be planning on charging him with felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a weapon during the commission of a felony. Again, there's no sign of where Mr. Guerrero Ramirez's whereabouts are. I did ask about his current legal status. They couldn't speak to that as of right now, so they couldn't speak to the legal status of Mr. Guerrero Ramirez. But Gwinnett County Police are saying if you do have an idea as to where he may be, this 25-year-old suspect, to give him a call as soon as you can, Tom.
It's always hard to follow leads, especially when they're so far-reaching, as you outlined in your reporting, Ray. What is the most difficult part of this investigation for police as they look for him and try to track him down?
As of right now, it's just where his current whereabouts at. You got to remember, this happened last Monday, so he's had a week head start before they even put out this message to the public of like, hey, help us find this guy, because it's been a week head start, and a week, you could be anywhere in the country for a week. So it seems clearly like the detectives, they tell us that the detectives are doing the best that they can to locate him, but they need that extra help from the public because they just need to pinpoint exactly where he is. And there is the possibility, as you heard from the public information officer there, that he could be across the border already. So there's always that possibility, Tom.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult investigation, but obviously they're interested in getting the word out there in their search for this suspect. Ray Arena reporting live from the police department for us this afternoon. Ray, thanks so much. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock, the teen accused of the deadly mass shooting at Appalachia High School is scheduled to appear in court later this month for a surprise plea and sentencing hearing. Colt Gray facing 55 criminal charges, including malice murder and felony murder, for the September 2024 attack that killed 2 students and 2 teachers. While the teen previously pleaded not guilty, court documents show that he's now set for a non-negotiated plea on July the 24th. The proceedings have already been moved out of Barrow County after a judge ruled that a fair trial required a change of venue to Columbia County. The hearing's expected to be a lengthy process extending into the following week as the sentencing phase unfolds. In a related case, Gray's father was already found guilty in March on 27 felony counts concerning the mass killing. Sarah Grace Patrick was back in Carroll County in a courtroom today as her defense team makes a push to delay her upcoming double murder trial there. Patrick is accused of killing her mother and stepfather inside their Carrollton home last year when she was 17 years old. Her new attorney argues that the defense needs more time to review forensic evidence and newly discovered information regarding firearms testing and family services records. Prosecutors are pushing back, saying that the evidence has already been available and rejected claims of unaccounted evidence. The judge is expected to make a decision on the continuance Wednesday, with the trial currently slated for the first week of August. A detective in Spalding County is hunting for answers after a 31-year-old father of 7 was shot and killed over the weekend. Griffin police say that officers responded to reports of gunfire at Raymond Head Park on Annie Street just after 10 o'clock Saturday night. First responders rushed the victim, Malcolm Freeling, to a local hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Investigators confirm a large gathering was underway at the park when the shots rang out, but so far no suspects have been identified and a motive remains unknown. Police are urging anyone with information about the deadly shooting to contact the Griffin Police Department immediately. Well, there's some concern in Midtown over some scaffolding that collapsed, and residents now renewing their calls for safety transitions after this pedestrian scaffolding collapse. This walkway collapsed over the weekend at an abandoned high-rise site. The covered walkway along Peachtree Street at the Campino building was completely destroyed overnight, blocking the sidewalk, causing traffic delays near Conley Square. An inspection report from May had already deemed the site unsafe, and neighbors say the project has been problematic and an eyesore with no visible work happening for more than 3 years.
My first thought was, I hope no one got hurt. And my second thought was, I'm surprised it took this long before something happened, given how long it's been here. And just the general state of no one that we ever see coming around, checking on things, doing work on the building. It is concerning as to how long is it going to stay stable and how long will it remain safe.
File a report with the Atlanta Police Department to determine exactly what caused that structure to collapse. The Atlanta City Council Public Safety Committee met today to address the controversial issue of police access to financial records at bars and restaurants. So what is this all about? Let's get out to our Angelique Proctor, who's standing by live at City Hall with the latest from that meeting this afternoon. Angelique, what'd you learn?
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom. This is legislation that would have affected Atlanta's nightlife, a nightlife that has really become quite robust, very active, almost legendary in the Southeast. Atlanta is the place that a lot of people come to have a really good time. And several businesses told the Public Safety Committee this afternoon that they were opposed to this legislation. So what does it do? Well, it was a proposal sponsored by Councilman Justin Hillis. Now, the ordinance would have granted the city sweeping new authority to inspect financial records of any alcohol licensed establishment whenever requested by Atlanta police. Now, owners of several bars and clubs lined up to voice opposition to this legislation. They say it would have had a devastating effect on their establishments and even accused the bill of targeting black businesses first. Take a listen.
Our great mayor created a nightlife advisory council so that we can have a input on this, and the reason he did that is so that we can have a safeguard rail for the nightlife industry. And this ordinance right here, it expands government authority, and there already is current code on the books to address these situations that might come up in the nightlife.
The ordinance does not require reasonable suspicion or probable cause, but you're an attorney, right? They don't have to give us the written factuals findings after it's done per our request. The independent review approval is outside of the requesting agency. It doesn't have a limit on the scope of duration of how long this lasts. None of that. But you're an attorney and you signed off on this. So you're telling me if I was a client of yours and I'm trying to deal with something in litigation, you wouldn't want me to have the due process?
And that's what we kept hearing from a lot of these business owners, that this basically would kill due process for them. About 10 opponents spoke this afternoon. It took over an hour. Many of them were not only business owners, but community activists. We even had an attorney to speak out against this. And that's when Councilman Byron Amos made a motion to actually kill the measure. And several councilmen agreed. In fact, some even changed their vote. And the ultimate vote was unanimous this afternoon. Now, Councilman Dustin Hillis, who had proposed the measure, was not present and therefore could not defend the measure. So it was a 5-0 vote, and I am told that this bill basically dies. It will go before full council for a final removal at the next council meeting on August the 3rd.
And the bottom line is these business owners felt that their privacy and right to independence, Angelique, was being infringed upon with this action?
That's right, because it gives the Atlanta Police Authority to go in and look at their books at any time. And they were saying that there's really already legislation in place that allows them to do that, and that they can do it sort of at any time that they feel it necessary. But they said this would just make it even more demanding and more sweeping and giving authority that really was not needed. That they said they are law-abiding establishments, that they don't want a lot of crime, and they will work with the city to get anything done that the city needs done. And so ultimately they decided that, yeah, this legislation was not really business friendly, and they were not going to subject them to having to open their books up even more than they already do.
Well, and I'm just thinking out loud here, and perhaps you can address this. If not, it's perfectly fine. But what about the legal process, as those people in council were talking about today, and obtaining things like search warrants where a case is brought to a judge and he authorizes police or detectives to go in there and obtain records that they need instead of these sort of spontaneous, unannounced records searches? Is that beyond the legal scope here?
Well, I think if something is going through a court, that is a little different, and an attorney is asking for a subpoena or a judge. This was not to that level. This was opening them up to this additional financial scrutiny at any time that the Atlanta Police Department thought it might be necessary. And there was no due process or, no level of suspicion to push that forward, just sort of at a whim, if you will.
Yeah. Well, you can understand their concerns, and they're expressing what they believe is what is within their rights and what is within the rights of law enforcement authorities as they looked to do this kind of thing. Angelique Proctor with some very interesting testimony today at City Council this afternoon. Angelique, thanks. Well, the United States Senate is back in session today under a grim cloud following the death of longtime South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. A preliminary medical report confirming the 71-year-old died from a heart attack, basically a tear brought on by cardiovascular disease. Funeral plans are still being finalized for the veteran lawmaker as reflections and tributes pour in from both sides of the aisle. President Trump looking back on their longtime friendship and Graham's ability to straddle the political divides. Lawmakers weighing in on the loss of this United States senator.
There are a lot of conversations going on. I think whoever the governor decides and the president, I know they are discussing options right now.
And so, the death kicking off a swift search for a replacement to fill the vacancy. President Trump advocating the senator's own sister take his place in the interim. Representatives Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman also throwing their hat in the ring. Senator Tim Scott among the names being weighed for the run as well. Washington facing further uncertainty today as the Senate also remains without Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, whose health remains in question following weeks of hospital stays. Let's turn to the war in Iran. Washington and Tehran trading fresh accusations this afternoon and threats following a weekend of heavy American airstrikes and Iranian rocket retaliation. The latest escalation was sparked after Iran targeted a civilian vessel in the Strait of Hormuz, prompting American forces to respond with air attacks. In return, Iran launched rocket fire aimed at America's Gulf allies, with both sides now claiming the other violated the ceasefire. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo questioning Iran's explanation of the initial attack, expressing skepticism about diplomatic options moving forward.
And that President Trump, if shipping is attacked or if the Iranians want to act belligerent, then he will respond with overwhelming force. We saw it when 3 ships were attacked a couple nights ago, 90-plus military strikes on targets. In this most recent attack, 140 or more military targets were attacked.
I don't fault the president for trying, but in the end, this regime is likely never to change its way. They told us it was accidental that they fired at these ships. Wow, that's really bad. Like, if you've got ballistic missiles and you don't have control of them, could you tell us who does? Because we'd like to speak with them. Look, in the end, this regime is irredeemable.
That was the former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The conflict now firmly focused on control of the waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, with President Trump announcing Monday that Iranian ships will no longer be allowed to travel through the Strait of Hormuz. The White House is also contemplating a 20% toll on eligible cargo ships transiting the region, while the U.S. Navy escort ships along with southern route near Oman, negotiators from Pakistan, Egypt, all scrambling to get a ceasefire back in place, despite President Trump suggesting that the deal is over. Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has arrived in Paris. Zelensky's holding meetings with 24 European leaders to ask for help in developing measures against Russia's ballistic missiles, which have pummeled his country and the power grid. With war now in its 5th year, European foreign ministers are also separately meeting in Brussels, where they expect to discuss Ukraine's needs and Russia's threats to the continent. Both Kyiv and European backers are working to compel Russian President Vladimir Putin to negotiate an end to that fighting. One person is dead after a shooting involving ICE agents in Maine. That's according to Maine's State House Speaker. The deadly shooting happened Monday morning in Biddeford, which is south of Portland. Maine State Police are on the scene, and the FBI is expected to join the investigation. So far, not a lot of details are being released yet on what exactly led up to that shooting. Student loan holders should be aware that if they're on the new RAP plan to pay off their debt, they could lose key benefits if they don't pay on time. RAP refers to the Repayment Assistance Plan. It offers advantages to federal student loan borrowers, but only if their bill is paid on time. Even if borrowers miss their dues by a single day, that they'll have to forfeit the government's interest waiver, principal match, and other perks that are considered valuable for ways to save money. Well, as we continue here on the Monday edition of the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local, we're going to check in with meteorologist Joanne Feldman to see how the rest of this work week is going to unfold for us, plus so much more as we continue. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. So happy you're with us this afternoon. Boy, kind of a cloudy, muggy start to our work week. Question is, how long is the wet and muggy weather going to last? Here's Chief Meteorologist Joanne Feldman.
Well, here we are on this Monday going into a couple of days of below average temperatures. That's really hard to do in July, but we're going to do it now between now and midweek. Notice today and tomorrow's high temperatures several degrees below that average high of 90. But being July, we know this isn't something that's necessarily going to last all that long. We are back to near or above average temperatures, that very summer-like air in place for the end of the work week and going into the weekend. So the reason we're experiencing this change now, we've had a frontal system slip through over the last 24 hours, kind of settling to our south, but it's stalling out across the southeast. This is going to be a focus for showers and thunderstorms. They're going to be very widespread here for today, especially during these afternoon hours and into the evening. But in those moments when it's not raining, we will have cloudy skies and those temperatures again running cooler. But our concern is going to be what these storms can do, because we've seen time and time again over the last few days that the afternoon storms are capable of producing stronger wind gusts. Stay alert for any severe thunderstorm warnings. And in addition to that, these can be really efficient rainmakers. We can get very heavy rainfall out of them and lead to localized pockets of flash flooding. So be aware of that. If you are spending any time outdoors today, make sure you have that Fox 5 Storm Team app so that you can get those warnings and kind of work around what we have. Now, the impact means we go from yesterday's, Sunday's high of 92 to those low 80s. Again, that's below average and well below the record 105 set back in 1980. Now, I mentioned a severe storm risk. It's not necessarily area-wide. It would be a little more likely in these areas out to the east that we could get some downburst winds from a storm or two. That's a level 1 risk on a scale of 1 to 5. But the scale that we use for excessive rainfall and maybe some flash flooding potential is on a scale of 1 to 4. Well, the Weather Prediction Center has us at a level 2 for that to happen. And most will get rain. Most will get repeated showers and storms for this day. What I want to focus in on is what's happening for late afternoon here and into the evening hours when that's most widespread. But even through the evening up till midnight or beyond, it's not necessarily ever going to be at any 1 hour completely dry across North Georgia. We're just going to taper off to fewer showers or thunder showers during the late night and to start out Tuesday. But Tuesday can start out with some rain also. And so Tuesday in a lot of ways will be a repeat of your Monday weather. When we total it all up here over the next few days, those pockets of heavier downpours can manage to do this. Anything in purple is going to be over 2, maybe close to 3 inches of rain, but even the minimal amounts or the lower amounts on this map are an inch plus. This is helpful for drought conditions, of course, but it makes it a messy start to the work week here. And then we trade things off after midweek. Specifically, the rain chances get lower, the temperatures get hotter, about a 20 to 30% chance of rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That is much more typical of July. These are those isolated pop-up afternoon thunderstorms where most of your day isn't impacted, but everybody's impacted by that heat with those hottest days into the low 90s for Friday and the weekend.
All right. Joanne, thanks so much. Well, the High Museum of Art's former Chief Operating Officer Brady Lum pleading guilty in federal court to stealing more than $600,000 in museum funds. Joining us now to break down the case is the Northern District of Georgia U.S. Attorney Theodore Hertzberg. Mr. Hertzberg, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're talking about 700 transactions dating all the way back to 2019. How was Mr. Lum able to get away with this for so long?
So hundreds of transactions over several years, and it's because Mr. Lum was in a trusted and high position at the High Museum. This was brought to our attention by the attorneys for the Woodruff Art Center, which discovered the theft, which had occurred essentially over the entire period that Mr. Lum was employed there. And it speaks to how if there aren't sufficient controls, people who are in positions of trust are able to abuse that trust and pilfer over an extended period of time. Thankfully, this was brought to our attention. We were able to loop in the FBI, and Mr. Lum has accepted responsibility for his misconduct. Will have to pay back every penny that he took through an order of restitution and faces significant prison time as well.
All right, so complicating this for him is that he pleaded guilty to theft concerning programs receiving federal funds. So How did the use of taxpayer dollars sort of elevate this case to a federal one?
So the High Museum is one of the cultural crown jewels of our community. And because it does such a great service to the public, it receives federal funding to assist with its operations. And individuals who take money from institutions that receive federal money, whether those are local governments or whether they are cultural institutions like the High Museum, can face federal prosecution for their embezzlement. And that's what happened here. We've seen this in other places, for example, in Troup County last year, where we prosecuted the payroll manager for stealing money from Troup County's coffers. Same sort of issue, same exact criminal offense. And there also a significant restitution order and prison time.
As you said, Mr. Hertzberg, Lum's already agreed to pay full restitution. So how confident are you that the museum can eventually recoup some of this money?
I mean, I'm hopeful that that's the case, but the issue here is not as if this was a withdrawal that was made yesterday. These were multiple withdrawals and multiple reimbursements, where most of the reimbursements were less than $1,000. So he was using this money to buy goods and services. And so where a guitar, for example, he might order a guitar new for $5,000 or $6,000, that's not necessarily going to sell for the same. So we have the ability to seize assets, whether those are bank accounts or whether that's personal property. But oftentimes where a victim loses significant sums, we are not able to get back every penny, every dollar, unless the defendant repays over a period of time. So it's going to be a long road for the High Museum.
You know, this is the details of this case are truly shocking, especially, as you said, when it involves one of the jewels of our city and the art community at large. It serves so many of our citizens on so many levels, both young and old. The fact that an internal operator would do something like this, it sounds like something out of the pages of a TV series or a movie or something like that. One would never wrap their imagination around something like this in one of these coveted institutions happening. Tell us about the sensational nature of this crime.
Well, I'll tell you, Tom, I'm not all that surprised because we actually do see this thing regularly. What I think is special about this particular case is that the High Museum retained counsel and those attorneys got in touch with my office and allowed us to do something about it. What we often see with respect to financial crimes is that the victims don't want to come forward because they're embarrassed or they're concerned about how this could affect their reputation. Where here, for example, an individual was able over hundreds of transactions and several years to fool the people that he was working with because it shows that the safeguards that were in place were not adequate to prevent this from happening. But thankfully, the High Museum, through the Woodruff Art Center, got attorneys involved, and those attorneys came to my office, and we are now able to do something about it and to show the community that we are going to get involved and that we will respond significantly and with great force to hold people accountable for engaging in this sort of conduct. That's an important lesson, I think, and I appreciate the High Museum and the Woodruff Art Center for retaining King and Spalding and giving us that opportunity to show this to the community.
Yeah,
that people will be held accountable when they steal from a crown jewel such as the High Museum.
Yeah, good for the High Museum and the Woodruff Art Center for doing just that. Sentencing, Mr. Hertzberg, set for November. What kind of prison time or punishment is your office seeking?
So I believe what we've agreed to recommend will be the low end of the advisory sentencing guidelines, which have not yet been calculated. But if I had to ballpark it, I would say that it's somewhere close to 2 to 3 years of federal prison, followed by supervised release, which is essentially the equivalent of probation. And that should probably be about 3 years. So a total sentence, I would say somewhere in 5 to 6 year range, with half of that time in federal prison and half of it spent on supervision afterwards.
It's really startling on the human level how some people choose to operate. I mean, we're talking about stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from this museum, from this organization, to buy such random things. You mentioned one of them, a guitar, and now this guy's whole life has been destroyed over this. Yes. I mean, he is now a convicted felon as of today and for the rest of his life.
He's subject to all of the restrictions that apply to convicted felons, whether it's through embezzlement or through aggravated assault or through sexual violence, whatever it may be. He's now in that category. He's no longer in the category of a law-abiding person who can be trusted. And that's appropriate. That's appropriate because he should not be hired by another institution and able to commit the same offense again. And so he now will carry that scarlet F for felon for the rest of his life. And he will have to repay everything that he took.
Yeah. While we have you here, want to touch on something real quick, and that is this disturbing rise in anti-Semitic hate that you're all too familiar with. You just announced charges against a fourth defendant accused of making violent anti-Semitic threats here in Georgia over the last year. Are these hate threats actually increasing, or is the FBI and federal authorities just getting more involved?
Both. Anti-Semitism is absolutely on the rise in our community, nationally and globally. And the FBI and the Department of Justice are taking a stand against that, and we are focusing on it in a way that, frankly, the department had not focused previously. And we are going to make sure that we combat this rising threat of the pernicious evil of anti-Semitism. And I'll tell you, as the second Jewish person to be United States Attorney in the 180-year history of our district, I very much appreciate the leadership of the department in Washington for taking that position and highlighting this issue the way that it needs to be highlighted, because this needs to stop.
Yeah.
These aren't victimless offenses. You know, I have children who some people see as legitimate targets. The threats that were made in these cases, absolutely vile to rape women, to shoot people in the face, to do terrible things, to say that it would bring them joy to kill more Jews. We need to address this, and we need to show the community that this is not acceptable behavior, and instead, this is behavior that will land you in federal prison for a significant period of time, and you will lose your liberty for threatening people on the basis of race or religion.
Yeah, we're talking about companies here in Atlanta that were targeted by people living as far away as, we understand, Texas and Maryland. So how do you stop these threats before they turn into real world violence, the kind that you're talking about?
Well, I think one of the ways is by setting an example, and that's thankfully what I think these prosecutions are doing, and showing that these are not offenses that are going to be swept under the rug, that are going to be ignored, that are going to be poo-pooed or minimized, that we take this seriously, and that, as we sometimes say around the office, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know, there are consequences for action. We're not making excuses for people, and the consequences are going to be significant.
Theodore Hertzberg, the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
All right. As we continue here, we have some dramatic dash cam video from our Doug Evans of a police chase, and where else? Coweta County. We're going to tell you about that, plus a whole lot more as we continue here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour of Fox Local. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Fox 5's Atlanta Tom Haynes with you here. Appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Starting today, all right, a warning for you. Law enforcement officers across Georgia and the Southeast are ramping up patrols for what they call the 9th annual Operation Southern Slowdown. So look out. Consider this a warning. The week-long speed enforcement initiative runs through July 19th across 5 states, including Georgia, Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, and Tennessee. State and local officers will be extra vigilant out there targeting speeding, aggressive driving, distracted drivers. That means being on your phone when you're in the car. They can see inside, trust me. They're going to threaten thousands of dollars in fines here in Georgia. Highway safety officials reminding drivers to obey the speed limits and move over for emergency vehicles to prevent fatal crashes. So you're going to see a lot more of these Georgia State Patrol vehicles in the states that I just mentioned on the side of the road. Sometimes you're going to see them, sometimes you're not. They're really, really good at hiding and detecting your speed before you even know that they are there. All right. Well, an 18-year-old Hampton man, we understand, is in big trouble, allegedly connected to 2 stolen cars, and he gave Coweta County deputies a lot of concern when he drove down the wrong side of the street to a very busy area. Fox 5's Doug Evans joining us now. Doug, you never disappoint with the body cam video, but tell us what's behind it this time.
Hey there, Tom. Listen, this was a very dangerous situation. Anyone from Newnan, Coweta County, or even Peachtree City that shops in Newnan, you know the avenue on the Newnan bypass. It's a congested, busy place, especially in the evening around 6 o'clock. Let me tell you what happened. Newnan police got a report of a stolen car showing up in the Walmart parking lot in Newnan. That's just a mile or so away. And so they started to converge on that to check out this stolen car. That's when they get a report of another car stolen from the Newnan Walmart parking lot. So they start chasing this other stolen car that Coweta County Sheriff's Office does. That takes him on the Newnan bypass that we were just talking about. All of a sudden, he flips. He goes on the other side of the road at over 80 miles an hour through a busy retail district, flying down the wrong side of the road, maybe in the hopes that the deputies will say, okay, this guy's too dangerous, we're going to back off here, but they didn't. They continued it. He hangs a left onto Lower Fayetteville Road, heading back toward Peachtree City. They lose him there. He's going too fast, way too fast. They can't keep up with him. They would later find the car in a neighborhood. They'd later find him in a different neighborhood, shirtless, walking around. He got a tip from a resident there. Let me tell you who they've arrested. He's 18 years old. He's from Hampton. The arrest report says he's unemployed. I know you're shocked by that. Evan Cole Knighton Smithy. Evan Cole Knighton Smithy. He's in big trouble, as Tom just said, facing 9 charges alone here in Coweta County. I think Newnan's got him for theft of the vehicle. And then there's another law enforcement agency, Spalding County, that'll be looking for him for the original car that came to town stolen. So he's facing a lot of charges. Some of these are felonies, big-time felonies, fleeing and attempting to elude, theft by receiving stolen property, reckless driving, all of that. And I know this will also shock you. He's being held here at the Coweta County Jail right now without bond. Tom?
You know, we're watching as you're speaking, Doug, this video, and you know, while you show us videos sometimes that's on the interstate, which is also very dangerous, and as you always go out of your way to point out, sensational on so many levels and so dangerous for the innocent drivers that are also around. Watching this makes you so angry and so upset because this is through residential neighborhoods, as you said, down streets where anybody could be walking along the street. God forbid a child be out there with a ball rolling into the middle of the street, and it ends in a residential area. Just put so many lives in danger while eluding authorities, or at least trying to. Obviously, that didn't work out for him.
Yeah, Tom, when we talk about how busy that roadway is, let's say, well, and he blows a red light when he turns onto Lower Fayetteville Road, the light just before that, he blows that red light on the wrong side of the road. So let's say you have the right-of-way, you're making a right-hand turn, you're out with your family for dinner because it's like 6 o'clock in the evening. Here comes a car, but you're not really that concerned about the car, maybe, even though it's closing on the wrong side of the road. At over 80 miles an hour, there's no way for you to judge the closing speed of that car in what should be like a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and that's how people get hurt and killed and that sort of thing. They simply have no time to react. The car shouldn't be there, but it is. It's going really fast. You can't judge how fast it's going, and fortunately, no one was hurt. By the grace of God, nobody was hurt out there on the Noonan bypass, and they got this guy in custody.
Real quick, before I let you go, you know, I was on Sidney Marcus once in front of that Home Depot there, and a high-speed chase went by us on Sidney Marcus. The guy went right over the median, took out a couple of road signs. It happened, I was at a red light when it went by me. It happened so fast that I didn't even know what happened. And the police ripped by me so fast, they were gone in a heartbeat. In this case, since it was going through sort of residential areas, I presume that Coweta County authorities determined that they were safely pursuing this guy, because I know that there's some no chase policies in certain jurisdictions, but I guess this fell within the parameters of being, you know, a chase that warranted them chasing this guy.
Yeah, I would think at that type of speed, going the wrong way down a road, I think that even communities that have a pretty strict policy would see the threat in that, perhaps, and maybe continue the pursuit or not. He almost got away, because he did get away from the deputy because he was just going so fast. But they were able to find him, you know, in that neighborhood. So yeah, it's a balance. It's a very delicate balance of when to chase and when not to chase, and how dangerous is a guy, and how dangerous is it that what you're doing to apprehend him, and that sort of thing. So they weigh all of that stuff. There are supervisors, Tom. One of the things that we never talk about, let me lay that on my car there. There are supervisors that are listening in to the chase the whole time, and they're trying to get a feel for what's going on out there. Where are they? How fast are they going? What time of day are we talking about? And they're making decisions too about whether to continue the chase or not. So it's not just the guys and gals on the road. There are people back here listening to the chase, giving advice and trying to weigh in for the safety of everybody involved.
That's so interesting. Fascinating behind-the-scenes look at how all these decisions, how many metrics go into the legitimacy of pursuing a suspect or not. And apparently they go through all of those exercises down there in Coweta County as well. Doug Evans live with that video for us this afternoon. Doug, thanks so much. Shift gears, talk about a much lighter note, and that is FIFA World Cup. We're not done yet. Even here in Atlanta, we got a huge game coming up. World Cup Road to the Finals running directly through Atlanta this week as we get ready for the final match in our city. England facing defending champions Argentina. Boy, that's going to be such a huge game, okay? It's going to take place in the afternoon on Wednesday with a coveted berth in the World Cup Championship online. Tickets for the high-stakes semifinal are in extremely high demand. Good luck even getting one or making it into FIFA Fan Fest if you want to be down there. Cheapest upper deck resale tickets already hovering around $3,200 if you want to go to the game. For fans without a stadium seat, celebration extending to Centennial Olympic Park, as we just mentioned, and surrounding areas as well. The rental car agency Hertz is talking about the sheer volume of people who want to rent cars to come in and be fans or spectators or whatever it is they're doing to be part of FIFA World Cup. I bet you probably couldn't even get a car if you wanted one for this match. It is in full swing at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Chris Rosenthal live at the Rental Car Center with more on the squad. Chris, at least they're having fun with it, greeting visitors out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like you said, Hertz is expected today is the biggest day for rentals ahead of the game coming up here on Wednesday. So lots and lots of people coming in here, getting rental cars, getting ready for that. And of course, they had the Gold Squad here a little earlier today. They just left not too long ago. It was a pair of golden retrievers, Ranger and Winston here, greeting passengers. You know, traveling can be pretty stressful, tiring, maybe a little jet lag, and so seeing those golden retrievers here really, really, I think, brighten those passengers' day, and they put a real big smile on their face, put a smile on my face too out here working as well. But I've got Fallon here. She is with Hertz, and tell me, I mean, today you guys seeing this is one of your biggest days, huh?
Yeah. So today is projected to be our highest rental car pickup day ahead of the World Cup semifinals later on this week.
Yeah, and you know, it's really interesting. Earlier we were talking about this, is that the you think it'd be Argentina and people from England here renting cars, but you're getting it from all over, huh?
Yeah, truly a global audience, which is really exciting. It's exciting to be at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport welcoming people from all over the globe, specifically here at Hertz. We're seeing an increase in demand from people in the APAC region, or Asia Pacific region, as well as an increase in travelers from France, Norway, Italy. So yeah, we're just really, really thrilled to be welcoming so many people to Atlanta and our country.
Yeah, perhaps those people had tickets before, or just coming to tour around. And a lot of people. I talked to some folks from Argentina here earlier. They were coming through. They're here until Wednesday, or excuse me, till Thursday, till the end of the game. They were renting a car. But you said a lot of people are coming and sticking around even beyond the game, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. For a lot of fans, they're turning it really into like a summer vacation. So once they get here, having a rental car is a way for them to kind of choose their own adventure. They're getting to see more of the city that way, and then actually taking their rentals to see other cities in the United States as well. So it's a really exciting gateway.
If you come this far, you might as well see a bit of America.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, and tell me about the Gold Squad that was here to greet these fans here.
Absolutely. So the Gold Squad is popping up today because of this high influx of travelers. They started their mission in August of last year to make travel feel absolutely golden and just spread some smiles to travelers. You know, we understand that travel can be stressful, and that's really why the Gold Squad was created, is just to see those smiles that come onto people's faces, like when they walk around the corner, they see the dogs, they realize they get to pet them. It's just really impactful.
Yeah, like you said, they were coming around this corner. You know, they went to the rental counters coming through, and when they would see the dogs, I think they had a pretty bright smile on their faces there.
Gosh, yeah, absolutely. Just makes people's day, makes my day, and I think the dogs may actually even enjoy it more than we do. They love the attention. So
they do love the attention, but they do get tired out. They were here working about a 4-hour shift or so they did have to go home. But you guys are gonna do this some more, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have an activation upcoming at Newark Airport on the 17th of this month ahead of the World Cup finals. So we're thrilled to be greeting visitors from all over the world there as well.
Yeah, I imagine those are also going to be some big numbers there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the World Cup is just such a great opportunity, like I said, with a massive influx of travelers to just ease some travel stress and make a really warm, memorable welcome for people.
All right, wonderful, Fallon. Thanks for joining us, and also thanks to Winston and Ranger a little earlier today. They were so much fun to hang out with for me and for all these travelers that were coming through here earlier today. Coming through whether they're on business or here for the World Cup. Again, biggest numbers they've seen so far here ahead of the semifinal game.
Well, traveling, renting cars, it just can be an otherwise extremely stressful experience, especially when you're not in your home country. It's nice to see that Hertz is extending these courtesies for travelers as they come through our hometown airport, Hartsfield-Jackson International. Chris Rosenthal, live for us this afternoon. Chris, thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. You know, the American Red Cross is reporting that they're facing an emergency blood shortage. Our Eli Jordan is here with how you can help.
Hey, Tom, every 2 seconds, someone needs a unit of blood. And I gave blood. It's real easy, but, you know, I do it for the snacks. But it's real easy. You should come out here because 29,000 units of blood are needed every day. And only 3% of eligible donors donate. If we can get those numbers up, we wouldn't be seeing these emergency situations a few times a year. But during the summertime, a lot of people go on vacation, and then you know, the routine of giving blood is kind of you've forgotten about while they're hanging out with their family or being out of school. A lot of high schoolers like to give blood, and so they're seeing a big, huge drop in those donations with high school being out and everybody going on vacation. But you know, it's more than just trauma. It's more than just you know, car wrecks and things like that. But it's chronic illnesses and you know, sickle cell and chemotherapy patients that you go in there, they need to have platelets and things like that. But you can give blood every 56 days, but blood only has a shelf life of 42 days, and we can't manufacture blood. Now I spoke to Allison Flexner here at the Red Cross, and here's what she had to say.
Right now, we have an emergency blood shortage. We've seen a 25% drop in blood donations in the month of June alone. A lot of that's due to summer travel, the youth population, people getting out of school, also graduating, and we saw like a 38,000 drop off in the number of appointments coming from that age group. Then you also see an increase in the number of traumas go up in the summertime, a lot of more vehicle accidents. So we've seen both a drop in people making blood donations, scheduling appointments, as well as an increased demand from hospitals. And we want to make sure that we can meet their care needs.
This goes beyond what people, I guess, generally just think about when, you know, oh, need for blood. It's more than just surgeries and car wrecks, I guess.
It could be people living with sickle cell disease. It could be people undergoing a complicated pregnancy. I have a colleague who just gave birth not too long ago. She had a complicated pregnancy that put her life and her unborn child's life in danger. Thankfully, she was able to receive several blood transfusions, and both her and her son are doing really well right now.
Awesome. Well, I mean, it's safe to say that most of us probably know someone that has needed blood before in the past.
We probably do, but I think a lot of people don't think about it. We did a survey recently and found that fewer than 1 in 5 people are aware that blood has a 42-day shelf life, that it cannot be stored indefinitely. And to that point, every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. So there is someone in need. There's a constant need.
And you can go to redcrossblood.org and find a donation location, or come down here to the Midtown headquarters of the Red Cross and fill out your registration online, and then come down, do a fast pass, and then they'll get you in and out real quick. It only takes maybe about 30 minutes to donate blood, but once you do, you'll have a great feeling of gratitude and some self-satisfaction knowing that you help save some lives with some donated blood. Back to you.
All right, Eli, thanks, and thank you for joining us for the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.